the farm up. This is your host, Ande the Elf, welcoming you to March 19th, 2023, live Wake the Farm Up at Maintaining Ground podcast. Look forward to sharing this episode with you. It's been some fun, homesteady spring times. Lots of stuff, getting ready to go out, watching things budding out, watching the forest come alive. Spring peepers been singing. So yeah, we appreciate your support in any way to keep this vision alive as we grow and build an amazing show here. So thanks for all the support you've given us, and people keep hitting that Cash App link. That's been great. Thank you all so much for that, and thank you all so much for linking through on the PayPal link as well. And thank you all for the suggestions. We're looking forward to new ways in which you can support and be part of the Wake the Farm Up show and participate. You can wear our shirts and stuff like that that'll have Wake the Farm Up on it, and you'll be like walking around and people will be like, yeah, I know that show.
Hey y'all, thanks for listening to Wake the Farm Up. This is Liz Virgo, the grocery-free yogi, and I had so much fun on this episode. It was my first time traveling with the show, and Sylvatica Forest Farms is absolutely a beautiful homestead. The vibes were really fun. I really loved the community gathering there and the architecture of the building that we got to talk about on the show, and just really had a great time. It was really fun rolling with Ande. We missed stuff in 101, but we look forward to future travels together. Check us out our tour on wakethefarmup.com. Support the show. There's links on the show notes. Do it on Cash App at Wake the Farm Up. And yeah, check out this awesome episode, all other future episodes and past episodes. I am relatively new to the show, but I've been on a few episodes in the past. I've been on the Carriage House Farms episode, and one from the fall that we can link in the show notes as well. So, wake the farm up. Wake the farm up. So wake the farm up. Wake the farm up.
What's up, Sylvatica Farms? I missed y'all. I did. I was feeling low in the toe, but Ande and Liz pulled it out. Thank you. And I appreciate the shout out. Heard all just awesome stuff. And heard awesome. Just so looking forward to hearing your stuff, man. And definitely connecting. Was stoked on that. And I hope y'all enjoy the little tunes that tossed in here, some unreleased stuff, and we're gonna be waking the farm up continuously. So I know we'll be seeing you soon, and excited for the next mission. So I know we'll be seeing you soon, and excited for the next mission. Wake the farm up. Wake the farm up. Wake the farm. Wake the farm up. Wake it up. The farm up. Wake the farm. Wake the farm up. Wake it up.
Step right up. Welcome, that's right. We're at the Wake the Farm Up show. Live March 19, 2023. Live Wake the Farm Up, Maintaining Ground podcast. Come check it out. Right after that fine stepping one-on-one party all night long. We're going to be going into this live show. We got Sylvatica Forest Farm show coming up. We got Cut It, check it. We got Joanna, Amorim. Cut it. We got Michael Beck. Come on, cut it. We'll be busting in here with Sylvatica Forest Farm, talking about all kinds of things. Check out their website. Woo. Check it. We got Cut It. We got going to Leah VanWinkle. We'll be getting deep in some serious stuff, getting crazy stuff. Like I'm even crazy in that. What's going on here? Sure. Yeah, cut it. We got Austin Rowlander busting all these grooves and all these songs on here. What we're gonna do? We got cut it. We cut it. We got some Story Sloan and Caleb Preston and Maggie Wilder. Bam! With all this stuff, we're gonna get crazy. Let's talk about it. Come on, it's showtime. All right. Get comfortably ready. We might even dance. So if you're more comfortable dancing, sometimes for me, I'm more comfortable dancing than sitting down all day because I'll be so sore from the things I've been doing. If I sit down, I feel it. If I keep dancing, I don't. So, you feel like that too? Just feels like you can groove a bit. Yeah. Got this set up nicely. And deal is made. The show starts when this little brew is ready. So now I'm gonna enjoy it. Whoever's cup this is. Welcome to Wake the Farm Up. We are recording right now, if you didn't know. How's it going up there in the balcony? Yeah.
Balcony's living life, man.
Yeah. There's even some plants dancing up there too.
It's a good spot to be.
This is good. We got all kinds of fun things coming down here. We're near Berea, Kentucky. We're at Sylvatica Forest Farm. We got Austin over here making some music with the lamb. Almighty Lord. We got a lamb in the house. And it's alive.
Thomas,
No kids allowed.
No stealing. And we got Thomas pulling some strings out over here and the bibs. Thomas and Austin, they've never made music together until just when we hit record right now. We got our co-host here, the cultivator host.
Hello.
We got Liz Virgo.
What's up, y'all?
So Wake the Farm Up, we're all about connecting, supporting, and finding farmers, foragers, homesteaders, all over the place and connecting them and encouraging and supporting them. You know, it's a big thing, you're out there doing these crazy things, whatever it is, figuring out how to process a squirrel. I know none of us around here in this part of America really need to go process a squirrel to eat, but some of us are doing it because it's fun, it's a skill. I want to encourage and support that kind of thing, I want to encourage picking up the nuts, even if you go pick up those nuts, collect them, make your own bread. You don't need to do that. You can go to the store and get a loaf of bread for 99 cents?
Not all of us can do that. Some of us have given up grocery stores,
Yeah. So Liz Virgo has given up grocery stores.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wow. Well, most people know that already, but it's good life. It's good life. I think if you give it up and if you want to process squirrels, you could say you need to. You could call it a need.
Yeah, it could be a need. It's like a means to an end, You just want to do something with your time and have some fun. And
I've heard of single moms having to process their own meat out here for real. Nobody wants to talk about it, but people gotta survive.
I'll talk about it. Yeah, they gotta do it. It's fun. If you can make it fun, that's what we want to try to do too. We don't want to encourage everybody to go out and live in dirt and sleep with a rock for your pillow if you don't want to. And if you are doing that, I want you to want to do it, but we want you to be comfortable.
Right.
Come on,
Right.
It's there's some comfort to processing your own squirrel. You pop the little tail off, and you can situate it right on the antenna of your car, and it goes kind of flaps as you're going down the road like a squirrel. That's super excited. When they're excited, they flap their tails.
Man. Sweet.
Yep. It is sweet. So on the way here, Liz Virgo and I were talking about, this grocery-free thing, but I was kind of describing the place we were going to and giving an idea to people who we were going to visit how often they're kind of like hardware store free people.
Yeah.
Instead of going to the hardware store to get something, like they're like, well, what can we make out of the woods? And so I've always been inspired by them on their ability to do that. And I don't know, maybe I'll go hardware store free.
For sure. What did you say? What are you using for the nails again?
Oh, I was talking about using the honey locust thorns for nails.
Yeah.
And they work in like softwood and whatnot.
There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm gonna jam too hard on that floor, but
Hey, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of single mothers out there that are using honey locust thorns for nails.
probably.
I've made a lot of
Hang
nails
pictures
out of
up.
wood.
They're probably using them to like kill the squirrels.
Yeah, maybe. Or sew their little hides together into little diapers.
There you go.
And things like that, little squirrel diaper.
Speaking of
I would
which-
have worn one when I was a kid.
I can't.
Mama, next time.
I'm thrilled that there's a baby lamb in a diaper in the room. That's just the
The lamb has a diaper
the
on.
lamb has a diaper on. It's,
Wow. I think we should.
Dom Lamb.
Dom Lamb.
Dom
Dom
Lamb.
lamb.
Dom lamb.
Dom Lamb.
But it's not dom. It's like dom, not like dumb.
No, not Dom. Dom.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I'm not doing like a total, like my Kentucky accent, totally wrong. And I'm like, yeah, it's a dom lamb.
We heard the lamb speak. It's not dumb.
Should we? I feel some excitement. Should we welcome up our Sylvatica Forest Farm host?
Yeah,
here on
absolutely.
Yeah. So if you guys are like some of you out in this crowd, I don't know, maybe you guys up in the balcony know, but welcome our hosts who are hosting the show tonight, Michael and Joanna. Hey.
Thanks for having us.
There's all kinds of underwear getting thrown on the stage.
Oh man.
It's just the diapers.
Dom Lamb diapers.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Thanks for having us, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the tradition of the show, when we first welcome hosts up, we give them 2 minutes to share whatever they want, and then after that we get into a conversation. So if they share something that we don't even want to talk about, it's cool. I'll start talking to them about something else. But maybe they'll inspire us all to say "Wake the Farm Up" really loud in some new creative way. Okay? What do you guys? Should we give them a full 2 minutes? Half 2 minutes? What do you guys think?
Full 2 minutes.
Full 2 minutes? Like, do you know what a full 2 minutes is?
No.
I'm spelling that with an F-O-O-L.
2 elf minutes.
Oh my god.
2 elf minutes,
We'll be here
okay?
for
That's
days.
proper.
2 elf minutes, please.
2 elf minutes has dignity to it. Are you ready for that?
We can do that.
Alright, you want to hit the button?
Yeah, so I'm Michael from Sylvatica Forest Farm. And let's see, I guess we got this property in 2015. We got really lucky. Our dear friend Lauren at the time was riding bikes south to Tennessee, and he just ended up at a First Friday in Berea and was invited down to stay the night in this valley, Clear Creek Valley. And then we showed up a day later in our veggie oil car. And then, like, I think it was literally a week later that we walked this land that we're sitting on here. And when I saw the spring up there, I think I was ready. Like, we knew what we wanted. We made an offer the next day. And then we spent the subsequent 5.5 years, pretty much, building this log cabin that we're sitting in. We cut down these tulip poplars just on the edge of our forest with an axe. Lauren cut down most of them. And talking about like doing the radical things, but like having fun and like wanting to do them. Like that's exactly where we were at.
Yeah.
So we started this build with no power tools. We took all the bark off these tulip poplars with draw knives. Like I remember Joanna's hands bleeding several afternoons, just like crouching over a log, drawing.
We didn't have to do that.
No, it was the means that we had to achieve our dream, and really it was like what we wanted to be doing. We had a lot of fun taking our time and getting some exercise in, and I think we avoided a lot of mistakes in this build because we took a long time to do it and thought everything through in its right time, and we weren't rushed. But yeah.
How you wake the farm up, Joanna? 2 minutes.
Yes, and since we've gotten the land, we've been, getting to know the area and like the wonderful community that exists around here, and the clean water and the biodiversity are just so incredible. It's a really rich area in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And it was the perfect place where kind of like organically just a forest farm started creating itself. I mean, it was already here. We just came to take care of it and steward the wild patches of medicinal herbs in the forest and the mushrooms that grow and, the wildlife and the pollinators. And so we started a small fruit tree nursery and an apothecary. We currently have 50 members in our apothecary CSA, and we grow mushrooms, to supply the local restaurants. So it's been a really wonderful.
And we got a chainsaw for Christmas one Christmas, and there's something to be said for like radical natural building and like not using fossil fuels, but also there's a balance to have with convenience, which I think we've found pretty nicely. We'd probably still be building if we hadn't got that chainsaw for Christmas.
We learned to compromise, right? Like there's certain things that we didn't want to compromise on. Like we want to use less fossil fuels as possible, and just do it the way old people, old timers used to do it. So people have done this for ever. For longer than they haven't. So we wanted to have that experience.
Wake the farm up.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody.
Like wake the farm.
Wake the farm up. That's right.
Sylvatica Forest Farm.
Yup.
Very cool.
It takes a lot of courage to do something like this, and we don't see many other people doing it. But it really did help to study the older houses in the area and see that they are on limestone pillars, just like this one is, and they're still standing. And then seeing concrete limestone pillars where the concrete's all fallen away but the limestone stays, and then imagining 100 years ago how people that was just what people did. There was no question.
With an axe too.
Well, with hand tools. It wasn't
Axes
should we go, rent this place in town, or at some point in history, people had to just build a house where they ended up.
With what they had.
With what they had.
Without hardware stores.
Yeah. So, and I think that, you spoke to getting the chainsaw and almost spoke as if that makes it so much less radical. I mean, perhaps, but I think that's still an amazing thing that you're doing, and the level of fossil fuels that you're using is still dramatically reduced by having materials from the land and all that. So I hear that, about compromises. I know, for me, we're always joking about the restaurant hack on no grocery stores. It's I still go to local restaurants because I live in a city and I got to go work one place or another, and sometimes I got to eat places. So, maybe you have a little restaurant hack with your chainsaw, but you're still doing an amazing radical thing.
Right.
I mean, I can relate. I remember when I got my place, I didn't have a lawnmower, and for several years, we were just hand scying acres of grass. Mainly because I knew that I get an allergic reaction to grass flower pollen. It's, in my opinion, more of a combination when the grass flowers are pollinating. Now, that's also when a lot of fields near me are getting sprayed with anhydrous ammonia. So I think it's not just the grass pollen allergy, but an inflammation caused by the chemicals that are being forced to be breathed into our lungs.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm out there cutting it with a sigh. And when somebody came by one day and saw me and dropped off a riding mower, I was like, cool, thanks. And I've not looked back.
I mean, if anything, the thing that it did the most for us, honestly, is it made it so much faster.
Right.
We spent, we would spend a whole day with the 2-man saw cutting these logs in half, and we would get through 3 or 4 cuts and just be done, And then with the chainsaw, you can do that in literally 45 seconds.
Right.
So you mentioned Lauren. I know Lauren, but can you guys share with us about Lauren? and how he helped building on this, and any bit you would want to share on that.
The idea of building a log cabin was actually Lauren's idea. We were all like brainstorming, like we've had experience together building other houses in different
style,
different techniques.
Yeah, we built with Lauren for 10 to 15 years before we started this build.
Okay.
In different countries.
I want to come back to that, like some of the different style buildings and countries. But let's hear about Lauren.
So he had a dream of building a log cabin with round wood, and we're just like, okay, that's what we're doing. You know, if someone has a vision, strong vision, we're all here to back each other up, and that's how it came to be. He also wanted a complicated roof, so he was like, I don't really care how like the arrangement of the house is, but I want a complicated roof. And I'm like, all right, Lauren, let's do it. Lauren liked doing things the hard way, or not the hard way, but the more complicated and challenging way possible, which was like an incredible.
He was a creative genius. Like, he got these ideas in his head, and he was such a humble. Well, yeah, Lauren was just such a humble person that like it was sometimes hard to pull out of him what his ideas were. But if you like sat with him long enough and understood, then many times it was just like, wow, like, yes, we can do this. You make it seem easy, and you know it's like complicated for most people. But this is Lauren's house, really. I mean, he was the mastermind behind it. He did all of the math behind like the gambrel roof, and Lauren's not with us anymore. But yeah, I think of him every day, really. Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah.
We were a big group of 7 when we first started this journey of looking for land and building.
Was
this
that
dream.
7 in the crew called Push?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Push. And actually, one of the ways that Lauren lives on beyond this house is something that Austin, our musician over here, started. And it's the Lauren Heacock Snail Mail Chest Invitational Tournament. And so it's Lauren and Austin were playing chess when Lauren died. And I think there were about 12 moves in. And so Austin sent letters typed on a typewriter via snail mail to several friends. And now all of the friends are playing Lauren's position where he was when he died, and Austin's playing his position. And I think with Austin, I'm like at move 16 in the game for like a year and 3 months. So it's gonna take a while, but that's how Lauren likes to do things.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Our kids are probably the ones gonna be finishing this game.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
There won't even be kings and queens anymore. The game will be like different. It'll be like 300 years later.
There'll be knights and bishops. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear more about your community. You're speaking to the 7-person community that started this, and I see here that you have a really wonderful, awesome community that comes together for you and is like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
How did you form this? Was this something that was easy to tap into when you first came to Berea, or how did this come to be?
Well, it was 2 different communities. The group that we started with, Michael can talk more about that. Childhood friends.
Yeah, I mean that was really.
The Push was childhood friends.
The Push was kind of. Yeah. So we were living in an Earthship that we built in Oregon in 2010. That was the first structure that we built. And I had just quit my job, and I was living in Seattle, and like literally overnight, I remember Austin and Eric showed up in a car, and I quit my job, and I just moved down to the woods, and we were living in tents in the woods. And
I love when a story gets that part, where I quit my job, things got good.
Yeah.
Things got real.
It's the best. It was scary, but it's the best decision. One of the best decisions I made.
Yeah.
Was letting go of the city life and quitting the job. But so we built this Earthship. We were living in there, and we had these travelers come from Europe, and they stayed with us, and they helped us build for like a month. And so we're talking one night over a fire, like about woofing, like worldwide organic opportunities on farming. Like there's this volunteer network all over the world of volunteer farmers. We started talking about why isn't there something like this for natural building, for like creative building, alternative building. So we got this crazy idea, and we couldn't let go of it. So Jim and Maria from Estonia and England, they got this EU grant, and we went over to Europe and like toured the UK on this grant to build this website, which was like a map that connected volunteers with hosts and to help people like build their houses like this.
It was really cool.
And it's still a really good idea. But
it's still out there and alive.
Nah, we let other people. I think from Natural Building Network out in Oregon, Yanto Evans Project, I think, took over the project. But it's we just really realized we didn't want to spend our lives on computers, which is what needs to build a website of that scale. But the idea is still cool for someone who wants to do that.
Just contact you and
yeah, and then sort of like
from the idea.
Well, the idea's out there, but and then from
just
that,
get them out there. Yeah, that's what it's about.
From that trip in Europe, we've tried to sail over the ocean. We tried for months to sail over the ocean. I don't know. That was a cool idea too, but
what do you mean you tried for months to sail over the ocean?
Like we drove from the West Coast to the East Coast to try to sail over the Atlantic to Europe.
Did you acquire a sailboat?
No, we didn't have the money.
But you were trying
to be deckhands.
Okay, I'm picturing you and your like friends putting like a pole on the top of your car with like a bed sheet or something
23 years
strapped
old.
to it.
And eventually we just flew, and then sort of began the hitchhiking journey when I met Joanna, and that's when we sort of like landed in Portugal, and this was 2014, and we landed in Portugal for like
2013.
For like 2 years. We were 2 full years.
That's where you met?
Yeah, that's how we met.
Okay.
They ended up in my hometown in Portugal. I was living in the squat back then with my friends. That it's still going, and we received a lot of travelers and just people that were traveling
in a squat, like
like a squatted land.
Like nobody owns it. And nobody knows.
Someone owns it, but we've been taking care of it. It's been abandoned. So
okay.
Since we were 18 years old, we like
That's amazing.
it's the place where we would go to like graffiti the walls of this ruin and stuff, and then. Once we started learning more about permaculture, we started clearing it out and discovered there was an old orchard there.
Oh.
And then we like rebuilt the donkey house ruin. We like an earthen pasture,
cool.
built an outdoor kitchen, and just lived there in teepees and tents and like all kinds of structures, yurts. And then one winter night after a big storm, it was just me and 2 other girlfriends staying there, and these American guys just show up in the middle of the night looking for the spot, and that's how it all started. They ended up staying for 2 years, so.
and that, once we landed in Portugal, was sort of my formal introduction to permaculture. Like, that's where I took my PDC. That's where we met Doug Crouch, who just happened to be from Kentucky, right? It's these weird circumstances that happened.
What made you guys decide Kentucky? Out of all the world places you've been?
Because it had like a lot of the things that we were looking for in the land, like including clean water.
But when we were searching online for like land, Kentucky was not on the map.
No, we were on the way to Tennessee when we stopped here.
Yeah, we looked in Oregon. We thought it was Idaho. There was this really cool community. We stayed a month out in Idaho, near Weippe. And we thought it was Michigan for a while, like the Manistee region. We were on our way down to Tennessee, and then we stopped here, and we never got to Tennessee.
Nice.
Yeah. And Kentucky is incredible. I mean, like there's.
The landscape doesn't really allow for a lot of fracking in this area because it's so steep. And so there's not a lot of industry, also agriculture industry. There's more like hay. So
Should we do like one of those like Greenland, Iceland things though?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible around here, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's really hard. Yeah.
Nothing but industry.
Homestead's rough.
And these country folk, I'll tell you what. These country folk.
But you're making do with what you have where you live.
Yeah, we scrape by.
It's good. It's good. You know?
Scraping.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, some of the most beautiful places I've been to on this earth have been called things like Toxic Valley. Have you guys ever heard of a place called Toxic Valley? It's down like near Georgia and North Carolina.
Or
It's so
paradise.
beautiful. It's so clean. You can like the water there is like crispy. You can drink it right out of the mountainside. You know what I mean?
Smart. come up on this.
But so the second part of the community was like it existed here before we got to Kentucky, and we kind of like scoped the area out in that sense a little bit, like meeting the people, seeing what people did for fun, and that's also a main reason why we decided to stay here. Beyond like this clean water and like the tropic jungle vibes, but like the people, the community that was already established, even for like decades and decades before. Like down at the end of this road was Jennifer Sawyer and David Sawyer and their cohort, Stan, and all these people that built a log cabin 40 years ago, just like we did.
Like 7 of them.
And like it was these types of people that took us under their wing, and they're like, "You're trying to do what we did 40 years ago. I'm gonna let you stay at my place for a while." You know?
There was a lot of support from a few folks around here that really believed in us.
Do they say stuff like, it was harder, we didn't have the internet, or like anything like that? Rocks were heavier when we were doing it.
It's really hard. You guys are.
I do think because of gravitational force changes that rocks were heavier like 50 years ago than they are to us
just
now.
Stronger.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because the gravity was different.
No, I think it's because people have lost their sense of manual labor. It's really fun to sit on a computer all day, but like, let's go move some wood chips.
Yeah.
I was talking
Wake
with
the farm.
Everybody's like, half the place just
Wake the
left.
farm up.
I love it around here. These people are so enthusiastic about moving wood chips. That, like, when you said that, the place cleared, and I bet the wheelbarrow rentals out on Shakedown Street are going up.
Yeah, no fireworks, please. This is a log cabin.
Awesome.
Keep your pet woodpeckers at home. The lambs are very welcome. They have diapers.
But just to continue on that thought, like it was, I know from experience, like living in an urban area is comforting in a way. Like there's always people around, and like I remember when it was really scary to think of moving to a rural area, especially like, Kentucky gets rural quick,
For real.
like, people have guns, this type of stuff.
For real.
But, that I've noticed that, like, similarly to a lot of other unknowns, just kind of like fades away when you actually do it. And living, like, we had this motto that we always kind of said to each other, like, if you build it, they'll come. And I think
That's like a baseball thing, isn't it?
Maybe. But
Like
like
you built something else.
we play walnut ball here.
Okay.
fan ball.
Yeah. Every autumn, you got a old Louisville Slugger over here, and you got to wear glasses, safety glasses, right, Austin?
Yeah, like glass glasses.
Yeah, and otherwise you get walnut shards in your eye. That's not good.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Walnut
squirrel
baseball.
suits and walnut ball. That's what we do.
That's why I thought eye patches were just like a cool thing around here, but that's probably why. Huh?
That's why. Yeah, and then we're also planting a bunch of walnuts in the field randomly. They just end up out there.
Yeah,
Nice.
people like those.
Yeah.
I like walnut.
Yeah, so one of the things that, Wake the Farm Up is all about, though, is encouraging people to really find their passions and pursue things in this world. So I really love to hear what you said about the folks down the street hosting you and taking you on just because you followed this passion. And I can only imagine the connections you've made just from living in this way. Like, I know for me, taking on some foraging and random stuff, like I was just kind of following something that I was getting into, and it opened up to hanging out with Ande more and getting involved in Wake the Farm Up, and now meeting you all and all this stuff. And like, I think it's really awesome if there's something that anybody listening is interested in, the permaculture, homesteady, like natural building, all this type of stuff. Follow it, get into it, see where it takes you, because there's a very welcoming community.
I think it's beyond a grassroots community. You often think of a grassroots community, right? But this is permaculture. This is like homesteading, like forest building community. We're not trying to keep things just grass. So like, it's amazing. Like, there's support species out there that are supporting your existence. Like, there's these older trees that were like supporting your existence growing up into trees in your Sylvatica Forest Farm, and they're probably like super stoked to see what you guys are doing, like just knowing they were able to like give that support species, so you could grow up into a proper tree.
Yeah.
That's what I feel we're here to do, just really to take care of what's already here. growing and wants to manifest into this like incredible biodiverse world. Just like ensuring that the forest doesn't get logged, you know.
Yeah, it's humbling being a wildflower growing out of a grassroot thing, right? Knowing that you're supporting an old oak tree that might be sprouting next to you, you know, just getting that thing started, and they're gonna have this whole better existence than what
we do include all the layers though, of succession.
There.
Grasses are important too.
Or like maybe with like the Industrial Revolution, that was like a clear-cut circumstance, and then maybe again in like the 50s there was kind of like a clear-cut situation, and now we're like pioneer species trying to like relearn the natural environment, like the skills that people used to know like back in like the early 1900s, late 1800s, and like try to like
the local lichen hubs.
Yeah.
Does that make us the local lichen hubs?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, we're liking the hubs.
Something I've been finding in studying lichens in science, they teach us that lichen is comprised of two species, right? A fungal and a bacteria. But what lichen experts are finding, it's actually there's a third. There's a bacteria too. So it's like this perfect union of three different kingdoms. Not just species, but it's fascinating. Lichen is three different kingdoms that make one entity. And from that, from a certain like biological perspective that I see and view the world in, you can see how our bodies, you know, formed from cells that were shaped by mushrooms and bacterias and other one-celled things that formed and, you know, created these more complex structures. You're a bunch of animals. A bunch of animals. And you like, should have walked with pride and dignity of a king or a queen every day. You're an animal of this earth, alive right now, you know? It's the best.
Yep. Definitely waking the farm up.
I'm feeling that.
Awesome. Amazing. Is there anything else y'all got for us?
I know I want more.
I could do this all night. This is fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe what I'm gonna do. Yeah, you guys got any like last minute? And we got like 3 more minutes, I think, on the elf budget of time.
We got lots more, but we can hop back in at some point if that's desired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elf budget. What's your currency, elf? Time.
All kinds of things. I would like to barter.
Turnips.
I like this mug medicine and the music.
Turnips.
I feel like we're being compensated right now.
Time and space.
Turnips and clovers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It does like our next guest. I would like to maybe perhaps have you guys introduce them. Anyway, we got Austin here. So doing this Wake the Farm Up show, music is a big part of it for me. It's like I don't want to just talk about farms and stuff all the time. Like I want to talk about music too. It's fun. I think about how music can save our food production, you know, can save our forests. You know, people use music to do all kinds of things like that. And vice versa, here's an opportunity where farms and homesteading can create an opportunity and a platform to help save music too. And I say music more in that homesteading approach too. I feel where I'm going in this world right now and moving around, people want music that's original and, you know, they want to know that person in their neighborhood that can play the trombone really well, and they want to hear about it and share about it with everybody they know, right? It's way cooler than like whatever's coming out of the pop star music world. They're like, yeah, okay, cool. That's like a can of Sprite or something, you know? Like, give us the good, whole goody stuff. So Michael and Joanna, they told me they wanted their friend Austin to come down and share some music with us. And I didn't even question it. I just knew their taste in music. That's something that my connection and roots with Michael and Joanna, we have been music festival buddies for years, bringing permaculture to music festivals and plant knowledge and wisdom. And it's a fun avenue that bring what we're bringing, music and creating culture together, all of it together from our food to our music. So without further elf ramblings.
Greetings, I'm Austin. Should I be?
Well,
Would you like me to introduce you, Austin?
Sure.
That's what.
This is Austin Rowlander, new daddy foremost, also aspiring blacksmith, tremendous blacksmith. Made our spiral staircase in our log cabin, as well as a door from scratch. Austin is a musician. I've been listening to Austin play music and playing along with him for like 15 years. And Austin is also a chess player.
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very excited to be on the Wake the Farm podcast.
Project your voice, Austin. Just
Yes, sir.
Just
How's
a
this?
little bit for this.
All right. Am I in the correct volume range?
Yes, in the tradition, you have 2 minutes. I'll rotate this so you can get a scope on the time there. It's different.
2 alphabets.
Regular.
2 minutes to do what? I didn't.
Share
I was
whatever you want. A song, a poem, a story about yourself. Maybe you tell us about your homestead. I heard you got a wood stove at home. That's fun. Tell us about burning wood. Whatever you want, man. We're trying to wake the farm up.
Take requests.
Blacksmithing.
All right. Okay. So tell you something in 2 minutes that you might be interested in.
Yeah.
I got it. I can tell you. Okay. So I've been thinking about this thing about music. I started to read this book by a guy named Oliver Sacks, and he said that music is the strangest thing that we have here on planet Earth, and if it all went away tomorrow, we would be doing the exact same thing that we did the day before. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately because it seems like it's just sounds moving through the atmosphere, but it's vibrations, and everything that vibrates has music inside of it. And so Oliver Sacks saying that if it went away tomorrow, I think we would all go away. Music is so innate in everything we do, like from making food, there's sounds. You go outside and you listen to birds, and your steps are in rhythm, and you make rhythm in conversations, and so it's everywhere. And so if it did go away tomorrow, then we wouldn't even be human beings anymore.
Wake the farm up.
Yeah.
Wait.
So I guess I'll
More.
I guess I'll
Shut the farm up. Swell, yeah.
On an old and dusty cowboy's ranch, I live in yonder hills. Gotta put myself through hell and back just to pay the bills. Well, they told me that our Savior's come, we would all be rich. Well, I ain't seen a penny, but I think I'm on the list. Let me sing to you a lullaby that never seems to end. I sure liked it how it was way back when. I think I'll just fade into the background.
Oh no, we're gonna ask a question. So you came down from Michigan. Like Michigan?
Bel Air, Michigan. Yeah, it's a little town.
So you're the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Michigan?
I am. If you put your hand backwards towards your face and you see the state of Michigan, I'm where your pinky and your ring finger meet.
Okay.
Bel Air. Have you ever had any Shorts brewery products? those are from Bel Air. Also, the Be Well Meadery is another regionally distributed cider house. That's our only claim to fame.
So you're like right near the water, though.
Oh yeah, we're surrounded by lakes there.
Do you like to fish?
No, you know what?
Go fishing, but like, do you like to eat them there, or like?
I like eating fish generally. I'm pretty land-based person.
Okay.
I don't
like crayfish and stuff.
There's not a big crayfish culture there. I'm thinking more of like a rabbit. I would eat. That'd be a landfish to me.
Yeah. I always see pit bulls. They're kind of like land sharks. You know, I think there's a drink called a land shark, but they should have a pit bull on it.
No, those are White Claws.
What do you mean? Okay.
Land shark.
Pit bulls have white claws?
Oh. No, everybody's holding them. But I thought those were,
Did you cut that off a pit bull? I can't believe they cut that claw off a pit bull. No animals were hurt during this show. The lamb's still good, right? I think it fell asleep.
Oh yeah. Dumb lamb is sleepy.
Well,
so, when you're up in Michigan, do you get to share your music a little bit? Campfire. I feel campfire vibes sometimes with your music. You get like some good campfire storytelling with your music. And
no, this is the first time in I think probably 10 years that I've been recorded playing music.
Oh my! That feels special, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I play music every day for my son. He's 5 months old, and I stay with him while my wife goes to work. She's a high school history teacher, and my only way to get my son to calm down is to play music for him. And so I play music for him all day. We just got a piano in our house, so I could not just play the stringed instruments. And so all of my music playing for the last 5 months has been based on.
Do you think you could play a show for a room full of 5-month-olds? And lambs?
I think so. I'm pretty good at calming him down. That's if I'm not. He doesn't really sleep when I give him a bottle anymore. And so now my only way to get him to sleep is I put static on the radio, and I.
Wow, he likes that channel.
Yeah, 94.5, Bel Air, Michigan, cleanest static there is.
Wow, I love this guy. He plays chess with a typewriter through snail mail, and he plays radio static, and he knows exactly which channel is the cleanest static.
Don't ask him about his
I
phone.
need to know so much more.
And he can build you
I'm
a
an
staircase.
anachronist. Do you know that term?
And what?
Anachronist.
Anachronist?
Anachronist. Also a Luddite. That's the more common term. But an anachronist, I feel like I've gone beyond Ludditism because it's implied if you're a Luddite that eventually you go into technology. But I feel like I'm an anachronist because an anachronist is somebody that generally refers to people in like the Middle Ages. They act like people in the Middle Ages, you know?
Like they eat cabbages and stuff?
Eat cabbages, dress up like Vikings, carry swords around. That's an anachronist.
Right.
Yes.
And I feel like
make your own bow and arrows.
I feel like in the last 10 years I've gone from being a Luddite to an anachronist, where I'm like literally one of the few walking people that is from a different time. Before there were smartphones.
I live near a lot of Amish in the community there, and there's like a certain period of time where they cut out, right? And they kind of stuck with. So like, what time period do you identify with cutting out on, like the 80s?
Early 90s.
Early 90s, okay. So do you still have like an Atari at home or anything?
No.
You watch MTV?
No video games. Watch plenty of MTV.
Yeah. That's good. That was the best part of the late 80s, early 90s was MTV.
Right.
I don't remember much from back then, but I do remember nobody had any cell phones. And that wasn't until the BlackBerry when everybody started carrying them around, and that was like early 2000s.
Oh, right,
so
the BlackBerry.
So it's been 20 years of people carrying around access to the internet at all times, and nobody really knows. I think it's probably more important historically than the Gutenberg printing press in the 1550s, when people started to be able to read the Bible for themselves and realize that the Catholic Church has interpreted this for us for, we're looking at 1,200 years.
Was
And
it
it's
really
all-
though? See, there's some
It
people
was.
that have been questioning me if they added 1,000 years in along the way.
There's
like,
no
what's
1,000
this
years
giant
added.
medieval period? Like, you know, like thousands of
The
some years.
medieval
Like,
period.
but like, I mean, history's very interesting and very questionable at all times. And it's like, I don't know, are we really only 1,000 years later, or are we actually 2,000 years later?
From the writing of the Bible, we're about 1,700 years. The Bible was written in 350.
Which part of it?
The New Testament, sorry, the Gospel.
Maybe.
The Christian Gospel. No, I'm
Maybe.
pretty sure it is. I don't. My wife is the historian,
Okay.
but
I won't question her then.
Yeah,
Whatever she says.
Get her on the phone.
I mean there.
Call her
there
up.
are-
I've got one right here.
There are
I'll call her.
definitely.
The Bible was only written 300 years ago, let me tell you.
Would you like to phone a friend?
No, I agree with you. I think a lot of our current problems in the world is when we started valuing that flat thing. You know, now it's easy to say our flat screens and we see our kids on flat screens or whatever, and we're on flat screens, but it was flat paper first. And when we valued that over the real world outside more so than, you know, like that was valued like over the real experience, that's when like people started getting like into these flat things so much. You know, it's not just a computer or technology. I mean, the Amish are into flat things. They like to read things and look at Bible and stuff.
Yeah, but you can't just boil it down to a
Flat thing.
because of
There's a lot of shitty flat things, I gotta say, dude,
and a
like-
flat computer are like. I mean, that piece of paper holds the potential for whatever you have to put into it. The computer holds the potential for what you can get out of it. I mean, they're completely opposite. There's like a
They're-
sucking and a giving
They're
going on
both
that
tools.
they are definitely.
You could get
tools,
a
but
person
they're-
could give themselves to books their whole life and never leave the library.
They could, and they would have probably learned more than somebody that's stuck in a room with a cell phone their whole life.
But everything
What if
they've
you got
learned.
self-regulation? What
But,
if you're
yeah.
on top of yourself and you limit your app access and you only stay on 3 websites and you don't do the social media? What if you're regimented?
Yeah, regimen.
Still control.
Yeah,
Right? Still being controlled by it. Still have
Yeah,
to
you're-
have that level of thought. I feel like what you're speaking to is like a lack of connection. You know, like there, whether it's a paper or a screen or whatever, people can often get really sucked into whatever flat surface it may be, depending on your century that you're alive. But
but the connection is what intrigues people the most about the cell phone. You can be connected with people without leaving your house. You can see like what their lives are like, and so I feel like in a lot of ways it's fostering a deeper connection between people than there ever has been. And I think that's what a lot of the draw.
God, I feel so close to you now. And you know what else? This like, I mean,
You
like,
take a vote?
there's a lot of things on the internet that you got to filter out for yourself, and like everybody gets to create their own adventure with it. There's a lot of really bad stuff on the internet, but then there's really good stuff like this podcast. Just saying.
yeah, we're putting into a
This
flat
is one of
screen
the
right now.
narrow corners of the universe where you can find something healthy. And
We're basically the
enlightening.
best thing on the internet.
Right.
Can we take a vote to conclude the flat things conversation?
The flat thing?
Yeah. Pancakes or donuts? Who likes pancakes?
I like pancakes.
Who likes donuts?
I like donuts. Everybody voted for both. So what does that do? What does that do? Does that mean the world's flat?
Are you trying to make like fight?
Are we voting on the world being flat now? What's going on here?
Flatter than pancake. Too many eggs. I do love a crepe.
Yeah, biscuits are good, right? We're all pretty well rounded, so I don't know. I think there's something to this rounded out world existence. And, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
So let's talk about more about music with you, though, Austin. Like,
Okay.
I think it's fascinating that you're blooming into a long time of playing music. I can relate to that. I've been playing music since I was a kid, but more of a back porch picker. I haven't climbed up on a stage and been like, yeah, I'm in a band. Or
I haven't
something
done
like.
that very much either.
I think like after high school, I wanted to be an artist, so I naturally got into permaculture when I ran into it, because I didn't want to be a starving artist, basically. So I feel like I got to that point now where I could do a lot more art that starving artists would do, and still feed myself really good. So let's start a band, man. Ready? We'll have band practice once a year. That's Luddite, right?
Yeah, as long as we can do it by mail, I'm in.
I'll record a track on a tape and mail it to you.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll jam on that thing.
Send
it
it back
to you.
Okay. Perfect. We look forward to sharing that with you guys on this podcast a year from now.
I'm in. I got a mailbox.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we wrap up?
No.
Could you close out with like maybe another song that you wrote? Or
Sure,
that
yeah.
you really like rewriting of, like I like calling them cover crops. Like if you get into an old folk song that's already been written, but you want to crop it up a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, wake the farm up.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about your natural building, but check out the Maintaining Ground podcast Instagram to see a picture of the awesome spiral staircase and other wonderful things here.
The snake.
This is a song about my wife.
Aww. There's some history in that.
I got a girl, other side of the world, skin like silk and eyes like pearls. By and by, she's far away. I go to sleep in a lone night lay. I go to sleep in a lone night lay. Up with the sun in a sweet gum grove, toss a log on the old wood stove. Oh, that fire, it burns so hot. Pull up my chair and I cuddle with a rock. Pull up my chair and I cuddle with a rock. I got a gal, she's far away. Sit alone in my cabin all day. Getting mighty sick of holding hands with a stone. Got me a hankering to wander on home. Got me a hankering to wander on home. Wander on home. A few thousand miles across the great divide. Pocket full of bears with their shoes untied. Won't be long until I'm with my girl. Skin like silk and eyes like pearls. Skin like silk and eyes like pearls.
Thank you, Austin Rowlander.
Thank you for having me.
It's amazing. And yeah, all the music that's in the background of this episode has been Austin Rowlander with our special guest tonight here too. We got Thomas.
Yeah, that was awesome. We met when he pushed record. Thomas just picked up the guitar and started making that music. That was
great.
beautiful. Thank you. Man.
That's just how real this thing is. Like, there's no script to this. It's all just natural magic of real earth stuff. I really don't think there's any AIs arranging any of these things, but maybe they like us enough to do good things.
Yeah. We miss you, Stefan 101, but very grateful for those who stepped up and provided the music tonight.
Yeah, we look forward to when Stefan 101 gets to chop up some music with Austin here. Like I'm seeing it now for sure. It would be an amazing combo, and maybe we'll work on that. I'll have him send a track over to you too, Austin.
Please do.
On a tape cassette or something. Yeah.
Great. Who we got next?
You guys having fun?
Yeah.
You got good old Kentucky time here. This is our first time recording in Kentucky, actually. We're always up in like Cincinnati and stuff, just across the river, but haven't crept over into Covington or anything quite like that yet. This is special. I love Kentucky.
Did you practice your yeehaw?
Yeehaw!
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody knows, like, I mean, it's always funny. This is funny when you guys Kentucky kids, you know this one, right? But how do you say the capital of Kentucky? Is it Louisville or is it Louisville?
That's not the capital.
Wrong.
It's a Louisville.
Yeah, Joe.
But Louisville,
I know. But
Oh, well. Well, anyway, we're not trying to be like capitals of the state right now anyway, so.
You're trying to trick all us people that aren't from here. But
You know, who here is
Leah's
from Kentucky?
here.
Who here is really from Kentucky? Okay. All right.
All
let's
right,
go.
our
Lived here
next,
for a while.
so like our next guest is actually like from Kentucky.
Woohoo!
Let's see what happens
You're
here.
legitimate here.
Our next guest is. You guys ready for our next guest? You guys ready back here? Ready for the next guest?
Yeah.
Like to farm up, maintaining ground. Yeah. Yeah. Leah VanWinkle.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Welcome.
I'm excited to hear what you have to share in the 2 minutes and in this whole conversation. You are Leah.
Undeniable. From Kentucky.
From like this part of Kentucky too, right? Or like which part of Kentucky?
Well, actually, my papa grew up down the road on Climax Cave Springs Road, Jackson County. He grew up in a tiny log cabin with his 6 brothers and sisters raised by his grandparents. And the cabin's actually still standing. My cousin owns the land.
Nice.
And then my granny grew up in Berea, which is the next town over. And I actually just bought my family land where 6 generations of my family have been living. So
She is really from Kentucky.
All right, should we give her a Kentucky 2 minutes?
I think so.
well,
right.
that could take a while.
All right, everybody find a good spot on the fence to lean. Yeah, the back of the pickup truck where it's up there in the balcony. I don't know, how did they get a pickup truck up there? They're crazy up there.
We are in Kentucky.
We're comfy up here.
Nothing can stop us.
All right, 2 minutes.
Leah VanWinkle.
Well, I'm actually really excited to be here because I just moved back to Kentucky. I've been out in Oakland, California the last handful of years, and I've been back for about 6 months. Moved on to said family land and bought a prefab shed shell and built it out. Wow, this really is a Kentucky story. There's a couple other manufactured homes on the land as well, so no abandoned cars though, so I think I'm doing good. So just getting things established on the land there, and I'm actually a hobbyist gardener, but not a farmer to the same scale as Michael and Joe, and I'm sure others who are on the podcast. My focus has been more in food justice, food access, land access activism, as well as like herbalism and traditional medicine offerings and access. And yeah, that's a lot of the work I was up to out in the Bay Area of California and previously here. So excited to be back in this region and bringing some of what I've learned in the past years back here. And now I've got a job over at Berea College, which is a really beautiful, radical institution, liberal arts college, tuition free, was integrated before segregation was even illegal, stopped on the Underground Railroad back in the day. So really honored to be part of that legacy. And actually I'm 6th generation of my family to one way or another, like work at or attend Berea College. My dad graduated, and before that my great aunt was like a maid at the hotel, and someone was a bellhop, so on and so forth. So feels like a big full circle moment of like legacy being back here. So yeah.
Awesome.
Wake the farm up.
That's right.
Coming back to the roots.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, what a route to come back to too. That's awesome.
A radical route.
With all these like skills and like things that you've journeyed through, like herbalism in Oakland and Bay Area and stuff. That's fascinating. Like, and then like having like what kind of skill like herbalism were you doing there? Like, were you practicing with other people, like helping them get healthy with herbs and whatnot?
I was. I'm a folk herbalist. I don't have clinical training, so for me, it's more about just helping empower people to feel like their health and access to medicine is in their hands. Because it is, and it's an illusion that we've been told otherwise by Western medical systems that want us to be dependent on doctors and pharmaceuticals to tell us what's wrong and what we need. It's a lie. That's a big old lie. Sure, there's a time and a place for that world, but our health starts with our own experience of self and our own connection to land and community and medicine. So in the Bay Area, I was co-running an organization called Essential Food and Medicine, where primarily we were working in encampments with unhoused folks and distributing juices and smoothies and food and tinctures and teas and medicines and doing herbal consultations and hosting clinics with different alternative or traditional practitioners and teaching classes around traditional lifeways and medicine. And yeah, so I've been doing that kind of level of work for the past few years out in the Bay. Yeah.
Awesome. Amazing.
Wow, what's that like? I don't know. I get this image of you with like a wagon with herbs in it and like 3 other like magical herbalists running around like looking for people that have sore legs or something.
Yeah, that's not inaccurate.
So what? Maybe share like a couple like stories from that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still close with folks who live at that encampment. I think even just the herbalism side of that aside, I think what really motivated me or inspired me around that work is meeting folks in this huge encampment. I primarily worked in West Oakland at Wood Street Encampment. It's about 300 people living under a variety of like overpasses that all meet and like 4 different interstates converge, MacArthur Maze.
Kind of like a big bunk bed, huh?
Something like that, but just the bottom bunk, and it's filled with trash and like road runoff.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that's why everybody always wants the top bunk,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Nobody wants to be the monster under the bed.
Yeah,
So like you're making sure they knew they weren't. That's great.
Yeah, and I think what was really inspiring in particular was that just getting to know folks there and see like what the dream was, which was for land that was held in the commons and access to land and like the dream of establishing like alternative economies and like Moose is a bike repair guy and Monte fixes cars and Tony scraps metal, like all these different like nodes and then this like collective vision around like how do we all create an ecosystem here where we can be sovereign and self-sufficient. So
solidarity economy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
At its like most grassroots
Beautiful.
level. So
Yeah, I mean Tony scraps metal.
Tony scraps metal. Everybody scraps metal. But.
So I'm curious, I hear a lot about this type of activism and work, not in the news, and I also hear a lot about resistance to it from people who want more, more of the same, more of the norm. How did you experience resistance?
Oh my God, so much of that. I mean, one of my main roles ended up being, like, we had this beautiful vision of, like, food and medicine, and that was a huge part of it, and, like, just the constant fight to even be able to stay where folks were. It was hard to even focus on anything besides that, like, baseline, basic need sense of stability and security. So a lot of my role ended up being eviction defense. And yeah, it was a lot. It was super intense. I ended up writing a couple restraining orders against the state of California. Went to court, they're actually still in an appeal case even to this day, and are actually probably going to get fully evicted at the end of this month. So yeah, it's a camp that's been there for like 10 years, but the resistance is real. And I think even more than just like the resistance to people being on that land is just like the dehumanization that we tend to do if there are like people who don't fit the social, cultural, economic norms, then it's really easy to just put them aside and fence them off and shuffle them around and pretend like they're not human.
Is there a way that listeners to the Wake the Farm Up podcast could support that? And support the people that are there in any way? Is there any kind of, like, what were you calling the group you worked with? Essential
Food and Medicine, and Cob on Wood was sort of the on the ground project. We actually, Cob on Wood was a collaborative project at the camp where we built 3 little cob huts, a kitchen, a clinic, and a free store. So we were running this whole like little self-sufficiency village under the overpass that we were able to move some of the structures, but that got cleared in one of the evictions. But there's an Instagram at Cob on Wood, that's COBONWOOD. And then another group on that land is the Wood Street Commons. So maybe we can link those Instagrams in the show notes. But the Wood Street Commons particularly is often having a fundraiser or an event or some calls to action. So yeah, different ways to support. But right now it's probably like donations and like helping spread the word of just it's not just this place where this kind of thing happens, right? Like, this is happening all around us. It's happening here in Kentucky in different ways. It's happening like literally everywhere. So I think the thing that would be most supportive is just like waking the farm up, right?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's amazing that you did that work. It's really cool for me to hear. Like, I think about the fact that you are, a woman from Kentucky. And, I went to University of Louisville and there, Anne Braden there did a lot of work on housing and had her home blown up when she purchased a home for a black family in a white neighborhood. And I think a lot of time, I don't know, when I moved here from Kentucky from Maryland, and I know there was like kind of this elitist attitude of some of my family members, like, oh, you're going down to the South, you're going to Kentucky, what's in Kentucky? Like, we're on the East Coast, this is where it is. But there's so much radical people who come out of here and are willing to do some amazing work, and I applaud you for taking on that struggle and opening yourself up to that resistance and taking on the state of California and being under the bridges with people, on every level, putting yourself into that fight. And, there's a lot of good stuff in Kentucky, y'all.
Yeah, I do want to shout out to Jose from Locavore out in the Bay Area. He was on season 1 podcast here, Wake the Farm Up. Jose's out there rocking local snacks all around the Bay Area to people, curating from different farmers and local growers and stuff, the non-grocery store stuff.
Okay, I like it.
I need to get him into delivering like non-hardware like supplies too, and like bundles of coppice wood and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious, like, what kind of similar work have you seen in this part of the country?
Well, I think something that's been really humbling about coming back here and just seeing what is going on is that activism takes so many different shapes and forms. Like, I haven't heard of a project like similar necessarily to that exact circumstance, because homelessness shows up differently here. Like, these sorts of issues, especially in rural places, aren't as visible. Rural homelessness often looks a lot more like people crashing on families' couches, or it's just a little harder to see from the outside, whereas like in San Francisco Bay Area, you like drive down the street and it's just like there and it's obvious and it's on the street in front of you. And so like issues of housing and homelessness aside, I think, like I said, activism takes so many different forms, like what Michael and Joe are doing here on the land.
Yeah, they built a house.
Like resisting fossil fuels, resisting the grocery store. Like these are all ways of trying to like create the systems or trying to not feed the systems we don't agree with. And so, one of my favorite, most inspiring projects here is Grow Appalachia, and we'll definitely Grow Appalachia, which
Yeah, they're here.
They're here
They're
in
here.
house. They'll
In
be
the house.
they'll be coming up next after me, I think. So I'll let them speak more to what work they're up to in the world. With Story Sloan and
Awesome.
Kayla Preston's also in the room. She's a Grow app employee as well. So yeah, I'm still getting my finger on the pulse in a bigger way, being back here. But there's so much like food-based activism and work in that realm, and then my job at Berea College, I work with Brushy Fork Leadership Institute, and we're running a program called People Ready Communities for 4 different counties in eastern Kentucky right now. Doing personal leadership development work as well as trying to support these Eastern Kentucky communities who have been so extracted from and have faced so much like ecological devastation, losing population, like such high poverty rates, some of these like big insidious issues. So working with folks in these communities to try to ask questions like, how do we make our communities more people ready? How do we become more inclusive of diversity? How do we create economic opportunities for folks to want to stay in our communities? Because that's a huge thing here, is that people want to leave and they don't always see the like beauty and the richness of the culture and the heritage and the reasons to stay.
I mean, those are all really good reasons, but I definitely think some of the things that I'm finding just in walking the earth and finding people that are passionate about their lives, the things that people that are passionate about their lives have is self-purpose and like a certain kind of dignity in their work, which I think is two of the most important things to put into a job. Like I always hear about these political leaders being like, yeah, we just helped create 100,000 new jobs. And it's like, how many of those jobs fill that for somebody, fill that sense of purpose and dignity? The job itself might not be what does it. It might be the family life at home that they're providing for that fills that. But if that's not doing it, you know, like there's work life's not doing it, you know, like so many people get wrapped up into these situations where they're working for something they really don't want to be working for. I hope that they can have a moment like Michael did in his story earlier where he's like, yeah, I just quit my job and I went and started living in the woods or something, you know, like I encourage that every day because it's not everybody's passion, of course, but, you know, just that's what I support is people being like, hey, I've been doing this. I've been afraid to step over the line. I just needed that little extra bump. Thanks for calling me today and saying, wake the farm up. I stepped over the line today. I'm going to go do that.
Well, yeah, I think that's really valid, but also I want to just lift up the realities of capitalism and our extractive ways of living that like make those things a privilege. Like life purpose shouldn't be a privilege, but the like need to provide and just all of the demands and challenges that our current socioeconomic systems creates. Like if you're a single mother of 3 living in eastern Kentucky or somewhere where it's so hard to get above the poverty line, like you are scrambling to keep food on your table, to meet these basic needs in such a way that like purpose in these things, like you don't have the luxury always to like be able to think on that level. So I think
you should.
Yeah, of course, but it's a privilege.
But
so
people should on me all the time too. So
and a should is a lot. Yeah.
So let's go back to the chessboard. Another move made.
Michael, you want to?
But I agree. I agree with Leah. Like I do feel like it is a privilege. Like if I didn't have some sort of basic safety net, I could not have quit my job and moved down with my friends. In that circumstance, it was not financial. It was my friends that came up to essentially rescue me, and I allowed myself to be rescued. Right. And I'd like to lift up also like other radical organizations like National Youth Farmer Coalition that are trying to make land access more available for Black and brown people, because in the valleys down here, you don't see a diverse range of people. It's all white people, and that for me that really needs to be focused on. That it's hard to access something as basic as land for a lot of people in this country.
For sure. I think it's like 98% of farming in this country is done by white people, is owned by 98% of farms are owned by white people. I know, like, I recently had a really sad hope fall through where I had applied for a BIPOC Farming Fellowship up in Ohio. And I didn't get it because the entire program got shut down and all the employees were furloughed. And, you know, it was like a really direct attempt to address this lack of Black and Indigenous and people of color farmers. But even those few opportunities are being taken away.
Right, and that's by design. Like, you look at the history of America and the foundations in slavery and, like, what happened post-slavery and the promises that were made for, like, land grants and the ways those promises were not kept and, like, the redlining and the prevention of BIPOC farmers, like getting loans, USDA policies around this. Like, there's so much depth to the history of this. Like, it's not an accident that statistic you named of like 98% of farmers are white. Like, it's by design. So when we talk about like access and radicalness, like, we just have to like also have the same conversation with the context of like privilege. And so for me, when I think about where to go next with my activism, it's always geared within that framing of like, how do we make this kind of way of life that is so beautiful and connected and genuine and healthy and all of these things, like, how do we make this like a right and not a privilege? And it's a complex question. It's a complex set of issues. I don't have easy answers.
I feel like the word privilege,
we gotta
honestly,
at least have the conversation.
The word privilege itself has a lot loaded into it. It's like, what one person might consider a privilege, another person might consider like a burden, if that makes any sense. So it's like, are you looking at somebody else's privilege and looking at it and like wanting that? Or are you looking at somebody else's burden and looking at it and wanting that? It's a very confusing concept for me, really.
I'm not sure I totally get you. Could you say more?
Well, certain people might look at me and say I have a certain privilege because I grew up with a family that held me close and told me that they loved me. Meanwhile, I might think somebody else, like just in my own weird bad boy way, think somebody else might have the privilege that when they were 12, they could just pick up and travel across the country if they wanted to because their parents didn't care.
Right. Well, I think it's like when we speak about privilege in the specific context of activism, we're talking about more about resources. So that definitely makes sense in the context of like just philosophizing about life. I think that when it comes to privilege, we're often talking about access to resources and the ability to empower oneself. And I think that, you know, you have a really great point that it's not one small thing that is going to fix the system that is very intentionally designed to keep some people out. But as we were we were talking on the way up here about how there's so many different ways people have different roles that they're able to address racism, if that's what we're talking about. And like with you being able to go out to people's farms, people of color, you know, who are asking for assistance, and be able to offer them different sorts of advice and encourage them to grow within their own communities, or, you know, having just relationships. Honestly, having relationships between cultures is so important. You know, I love my statistics. I'm gonna drop another one. Like 75% of white people in this country don't even have a Black friend. Terrifying for me as a Black woman, but but you know, like having these cross-cultural relationships are really important. And I know that when I was able to have access to like certain scholarships, or just people being more open to friendships with me and sharing foraging information, a whole lot of stuff opened up for me. So there's sometimes it's friendship, sometimes it's a scholarship, sometimes it's, you know, all kinds of different things. But I think if we set an intention, then a lot can follow.
Hey, I'm going to jump in as like a total like side voice on this.
Side voice.
My partner, we live in Jackson County, moved here like 2 years ago, and I absolutely adore it here. I will not leave, and I can't wait to put down roots. We're raising our kids here. Her preschool teacher was Tracy VanWinkle, and I don't know, you probably know who that. I mean, maybe. Gone back. People have been here for a long time, and I think they're And now we're in a time period, back to the internet conversation, because it is very relevant. Like, people are isolated already. They've been so isolated here for generations and decades, and now they're isolated more abstractly, but just as detrimentally, because they're on these echo chambers. So I will drive around here, they're doing stuff or talking to people, and there's because there isn't enough people of color or people that look different. There's an easy way to just maintain that hostility to an other, to a different way of approaching, and then you have buzzwords like privilege, or you have whatever else gets people panties in a wad, and then you can't talk to them. So now I'm trying to figure out, how am I as a mother and as an artist, as an activist, going to move forward with our family and challenge these people. My kid was in preschool when she had to deal with like the fact of racism, and like that should get talked about. And it's difficult when half the conversation is ruined because people can't let go of these in charged emotions related to whatever buzzword that it is. And I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but everyone's looking at me. It's pretty cool. But, it's fine.
Hey, it's good.
Yeah, thank
There's
you.
a lot of organizations, and I'm excited to keep in touch with you, and we're going to exchange numbers. But,
I love that connections get made. We maintain ground here, but we also create ground.
We get serious, but I definitely just want to take it back to just for 1 second. We get seriously funny on here too. Just want to remind you all of that part right now. And some things just aren't seriously funny, so it's like.
But luckily, I think one good way to do it is just like y'all are saying, just find a craft, stay in the first we all got to stay in the moment, put those phones down a little bit, right? And hey, people be aware of how much land and place are deeply tied to their sense of self and how they operate with their community. And I got my 12-year-old neighbor across the street who's fantastic and loves outdoorsy stuff and identifying plants and bushcraft kind of things, and there's nothing for him here. But he's got a TikTok account that he watches way too much of. This kind of stuff. So
I mean, I'll just say one project Wake the Farm Up is working on right now, and I'll just go ahead and say it. We'll be raising funds for a 26-acre farm in the middle of Cincinnati. It's owned by a friend of mine. It's called 144 Farms, and they want some support. Like farming takes. A lot of times it takes putting $1 in to make $2 or $5. Like whether it's seed or some sort of piece of equipment or some sort of fencing or whatever it is, it definitely helps for farmers to get boosts. And so we're definitely going to be recording a show with them at some point. But in the meantime, I just wanted you guys to know, keep an eye out so maybe you can help support a Black-owned farm.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Awesome.
There's a Wake the Farm Up action opportunity.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much, Leah. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we hop off?
Just one thing. If you're in the Lexington, Berea, Kentucky area and this podcast airs in time, I am teaching a somatic anti-racism class at the Lexington Pride Center the second Sunday of April, the date which I cannot remember off the top of my head, but we'll maybe link in the show notes.
For sure.
I wanted to share, I guess, too, just like Leah and I go back in the summer camp music festival adventures and other music festivals now, sharing permaculture and lifestyle choices that we like, that people at music festivals seem to really like and want to learn about. So we go to those. I appreciate your friendship so much and all the action and energy that you put into the world, making it a better place.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for the serious fun.
I love dancing with you. We'll do some more of that today. We'll dance up some fun, and it'll be good.
Well, thank you both so much.
Dance party.
So delighted to be here, and I think that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next guest, we got some adventures coming in. We got Story Sloan and Kayla Preston.
Call me later, saw me later. I'm elated. Oh, I'm elated. Call me sitter, I'm elated. Calling, I'ma get it. Why'd I say gon' call me later? Go and call me later. Call me later, saw me later. Oh, and I'm okay now. I'm elated, gonna say it. Oh, I'm elated. Call me sitter, I'm elated. Calling, I'ma get it. Oh, why'd I say gon' call me later? Go and call me later. Call me later, saw me later. Oh, and I'm okay now. I'm elated, gonna say it. Oh, I'm elated. Call me sitter, I'm elated. Calling, I'ma get it. Oh, I'm elated. I'm not my body, I got it, I am alive. I found it in my soul just like a tonic. I am not my body, I got it, I am alive. I found it in my soul just like a tonic. One more time, tonic. Ay. I am not my body, I got it, I am alive. I found it in my soul just like a tonic. So I rock it, it's the life, you know we got. It's the standards that we set. This is how it's gonna be until we all know we are blessed. We can see it as a test. Never give up like the rest. We can fly with the angels. See the body, it's been left. 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 Ay, let the body sit the flow. Let the body sit the flow. Let the body sit the flow, 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 flow. Let the body sit the 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 flow. Let the bodies, bodies, let the bodies, bodies, let the bodies, bodies, let the bodies, bodies. Oh, I'm elated. Let the bodies, bodies, let the bodies, bodies, let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Oh, I'm elated. Let the bodies sit the flow. 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 Let the bodies. Let the bodies sit the flow. 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 Oh, I'm elated. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Oh, I'm elated. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies sit the flow. Let the bodies, bodies. Let the bodies sit the flow. 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 Let the bodies, bodies.
dancing. I just learned about buck dancing. You know, it's a buck dancer's choice, my friend. You better take my advice.
Well, what was a buck dancer anyway? You know what buck dancers are. You guys in Kentucky know buck dancers. What's the buck dancer?
I didn't live here long enough, apparently.
Certain kind of clog dancing, I guess.
In the farm up.
Yeah. All right, everybody, calm down again. Here we go, waking the farm up. We got Kayla and Story Sloan here. Kayla Preston.
Hello.
So I'm ready. I want to hear what your story is, Story.
Well,
I'm super
Kayla and I
excited.
work together. That's how I got wrangled into this. Kayla's friends with Michael, who
Michael Rise.
Michael Rise, who aggressively pursued my friendship, which is unusual for me because I usually feel like I'm aggressively pursuing other people's friendships. Like I'm an aggressive social butterfly. I'll drop into somebody's DMs and be like, I think we need to be best friends.
Which is what she did to Michael.
No, Michael did this with me. It may have been a little bit mutual in there, but he did drop in and become persistent about hanging out, and I'm really glad we did because now we're like good friends. We talk all the time, and I have plants that Michael grew, and
Trees.
And yes, I have trees that Michael grew, and I also just will message Michael for tree advice all the time because I've been traditionally a plant grower, not like a deciduous tree grower. So I have
Wait, what do you mean? A plant grower,
like
but
vegetables
not a deciduous
and
tree
fruit,
grower? Okay.
Instead of
Like
woody crops.
Like more of like a garden.
Yeah, so they're shorter time frame to have to figure out like what you need to do with a little living organism versus like you have to nurse something through an entire year to be able to put it out in a field. And so it's like I only have to pay attention to it really closely for like the first couple months of its life, and then I kind of stick it out. And you know, this is not advised for if you're a market farmer, but as a person that's grown on my own for a long time, then I kind of stick it out and it's just like out on its own. And trees just take a lot longer to like be able to like stick them out and put them on their own. Sometimes you have to stratify them or do all these other processes. So anyway, I consult Michael about this stuff.
Okay, and then real quick, like tell us a little about like how you guys work together, a little bit about that, and then I want to give you guys like 2 minutes like each. Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. So we work for a program of Berea College called Grow Appalachia. Grow Appalachia was actually created by John Paul DeJoria, who is the co-creator of Paul Mitchell Hair Care. Okay. He is an incredible philanthropist that gives so much money and donations to Grow.
You listening, John Paul?
Thank you, Peace, Love, and Happiness Foundation.
Yeah, support Wake the Farm Up on the PayPal link. I didn't mean to hit that button. I'm sorry. Or on the cash
I
app.
did.
Oh man,
Let me hit the cat.
on the cash app.
So Grow Appalachia is just it's an outreach program that what we do is we focus on educating and letting people know about the resources that are located in their specific regions. When it comes to government support, so USDA, NIFA, all sorts of the parks, recreation. We do all sorts of work when it comes to agriculture support. The majority of the work that we do is for free, so we give out free webinars, free education opportunities. The work that I do specifically is I build high tunnel greenhouses and educate people on how to grow in high tunnels and then how to maintain the high tunnels because it's a very expensive piece of structure on the property and on the farm. And it's really important to take care of those as we see with the weather that's been happening recently. Lots of high tunnels have flown away, and so we try to teach people on how to close them down in heavy winds and teach them on snow load and etc. And then I also sell a shit ton of growing supplies, trellising, hortanova.
I love how shit ton when you're talking growing supplies can actually be
we
what you're
actually,
talking about.
Pretty much sell shit. We sell chicken litter fertilizer. So pretty much we're just creating a space within a very tiny region to where people do not have to spend the money on getting the material shipped to their house. we're like a very small distributor within the Kentucky region. So
that's awesome.
We distribute all sorts of materials.
What is that? That's all through the Grow Appalachia.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you can check us out on the interwebs. And Story does a completely different piece of Grow. Yeah. So maybe you want to touch on that.
Yeah. I technically, I do.
Do you want to like have that be part of your 2 minutes, or do you want to do the 2 minute? I want to do a 2 minute thing because I'm morphine like water all the time, and like I wanted you guys to give a little quick intro, not as your 2 minutes, but now.
Okay, great.
Now
sounds great.
I just
now you can tell a poem,
I'll give a brief 30 seconds, and then I can tell about. We just bought a farm in September, like right down the road from here.
All right.
Yeah, you can tell us about that on this show.
Okay.
Hey, Story.
Yeah.
Can we hear the story about how you made it on a hunting magazine too?
This is all anybody ever wants to hear about.
Yeah, we want to hear about that for sure. But more than 30 seconds on that.
All right, let's get you going.
Okay. So I'm a small farm advisor, and I do technical assistance for Grow Appalachia, so I get to go do stuff with small farms and tell them how to produce things. But I also recently bought my own small farm, so I'm kind of doing my own technical assistance for myself. Not far up the road from here in Irvin. It's 32 acres, and it has a creek and a good woodlot and some pasture. Huge old tobacco barn that we want to do shows and workshops and music out of in the future. So we're working on like renovating that now. And Michael wants me to bring up that I was also on a hunting magazine. Ooh. So, long before I came to Grow Appalachia, I worked. I have a degree in sustainable ag that I got because I got some free money for doing a volunteering program, and so I did a lot of blue collar work before I came to Berea College. I worked construction for several years. I worked for the Department of Fish and Wildlife at the fish hatchery. My dad was a director at the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So I grew up hunting, fishing, doing all that stuff. And that's the way my dad and I have bonded over the years. So it kind of brings all of it full circle. I think that's probably where I got my passion for ecology and understanding how systems work together, and also obviously honoring that and holding that really dear to me. But long story short is I shot a killer buck, and I shot it because a doe ran out in front of it, and I shot the doe, and then I just happened to be able to contain my excitement long enough to drop like a 12-point buck after that. And the Department of Fish and Wildlife put it on the cover of their hunting and trapping guide for the season. So it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. You can probably find it in all of your local neighbors' hunting shacks out back. It's pinned up on the wall.
Right next to Pam Anderson.
Yeah, right next to Pam. Yeah. That's right.
Wake the farm up. 2 minutes. All right. That was awesome. Right. Thank you so much.
Okay. I mean, we were talking buck dancing.
No, but I got to interject here. So you were saying earlier nobody really needs to go get a squirrel. But if you know how to hunt and fish, do you really need to go to the grocery store?
No, we don't buy meat. We eat deer like all year round. We have a freezer full of deer and fish, and then my dad's a big hunter, so we have like all kinds of, like I have like doll sheep from Alaska that his friends hunt. Like one time he brought me home canned pickled pike fish from like Canada, which I think is disgusting. We eat a lot of wild meats.
Canada.
And you don't have to buy it, you know?
You didn't like jackfish?
Awesome.
Ooh, no. What, not pickled or fermented or whatever this stuff was not for me. Not for me. I love fish, but not pickled or fermented. It's a little funky.
Fish coming out of a jar.
Yeah, a little bit weird. Meat coming out of a jar in general.
I'll give it a maybe.
I've got some canned fish at home. I have not opened it, like home canned fish.
Okay. Ooh. Let's open those up.
Yeah,
I'm opening up one tonight. I got some in my fridge. I'll change your mind, Story.
You got jar fish in your fridge?
I do not want any chilled
That's what I'm going to call it. I don't want to call it canned fish. I'm going to call it jar fish.
Chilled jar fish just does not sound like
some jar meat. You
what I want.
Do you jar meat too? Like I have friends that jar meat.
You
like
can.
They jar up deer
Honestly,
meat.
I should probably try it this year. People have been trying to convince me into it forever. What people say that's supposed to be convincing is that if you will cold pack like cubes of venison in jars and then just pour the boiling brine over it, that it'll taste like Dinty Moore. I don't know how that's supposed to be convincing because Dinty Moore is fucking gross. So,
yeah, that's like when somebody's like, try this, it'll taste like chips, Pringle chips or something. You're like, I don't want that.
You know, if you live in a place like this though, or even with Tom and I where we don't our place isn't as rural as this, and there are more rural places than this. But
it gets more rural.
If you get your electric knocked out or your power knocked out, or you're on lean times for a while, it has been super helpful for us to have just like I do a bunch of canning. So I do a bunch of canning, a bunch of processing, drying, and freezing. And so we always have stuff like that on hand. Or like pre-made TV dinners where I'll do like a meatloaf and then wrap it in aluminum foil pre-baked. So all you have to do is like take it out and
I love it.
Yeah. So we actually do a lot of that, but I have not canned meat, and that's something that I probably and will try in the future.
Okay.
Awesome.
I know for me, I prefer like dried meats. Like
jerky.
Deer jerky. I could have that
Same.
like all year long. It's
Same.
just so easy. You just grab it and
it tastes better.
Eat it.
It's less weird.
I took a wasna workshop last year. We're gonna have to.
Wasna?
Yeah,
What's a wasna
it's like
workshop? Tell us about that.
Well, it was an indigenous like meat drying and like corn all process. It was all amazing. Linda Black Elk, check her out. But
Cool.
we have to get into that later.
Meat curing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want more of that.
Right on.
Amazing.
So I do want to like keep you up here. We'll keep talking, but let's give Kayla 2 minutes, and then we'll get more. I want to get like in the high tunnels with you guys a little bit more and stuff like that too. But you don't have to do that in your 2 minutes. Not just because I said that now. Like your 2 minutes is
I have
yours,
nothing
Kayla.
to do with high tunnels, so it's all her.
2 minutes is mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what would you like to hear?
Whatever you want to share in 2 minutes. That's how
All
I roll.
right. Well, what up, y'all? I'm Kayla. Yeah. Born and raised here in Kentucky. Grew up in kind of suburb, rural area, but found the love for growing food and things like that once I got into environmental studies in college, and then moved to Argentina for a bit of time and learned the ways of how they recycle there. Actually, the recycling in Argentina is like incredible. The way that you have to pay to buy the bottle of beer on top of just the beer that's in the bottle. And so, that kind of like dropped me down to like, I was a minority in Argentina, and that was my first way of like, I grew up in a place where not a lot of people of color are, a couple families in my high school. And so to be a minority in a place really brought me to a really home base, like a grounded area where I was starting to reconsider like what was going on in my life and things like that. And so once I moved back from Argentina, I started pursuing permaculture farming and organic farming, trying to figure out how to work on the slavery issue with the Immokalee Coalition, like the slaves that do all the tomato farming down in Florida, and then found my way to an aspiring agrarian course in Louisville that's led by Stephen Bartlett, and he guided me to a lady named Susanna Leon, who is here in Berea, Salamander Springs Farm. Yeah! Lots of us know her. Lots of us are here because of her. So once I found her, I pretty much begged her to work on her farm, and she finally allowed me to do so because one of her other woofers had to go away because of his family house caught on fire, and they had to take care of things like that. But yeah, Susanna's experience was wow. You just please go out there if you haven't been out there. She's a wonderful human. She brings so many indigenous and people of color and minorities to this area. She brings people here, and then they stay here.
She woke the farm up.
Yeah, she did. She's a badass, and I just started to follow her, and then stayed here. I didn't leave. I found Grow Appalachia, and I started to work for them, and my personal home space. I have a 2-acre farm, I guess. I don't have a farm ID yet because I'm not going to apply to get a high tunnel because I don't need one because I already have one. Because I built it and I manufactured it and I put it in my backyard.
Wake the farm up.
And I woke the farm up.
Yeah. That was a cool, fun 2 minutes. I felt like...
I like flowers. I grow flowers. That's what I do.
I like flowers. Do you like? You can plant tulips all over me. Sorry, I just had to say it.
I have deer. We will see if the gladiolas come back this year. I also didn't pull them out, which is like a thing you're supposed to do. So we're gonna just see what happens. There's been like a pallet over like that piece of the bed for a while. So I'm kind of like this wing it type of farmer when I do my own thing at the house. I have a lot of fun just with the garden. I don't even have a fence, so like the deer come and I'm like, well, that sucks. It just like all the tomatoes are gone. I got a slingshot last year, so I've been working on my skills.
How do you think that'll work for her, Story?
I'd say she'll be at my house this fall learning some new skills.
Yeah.
She's trying to get on the cover of some other magazine.
We'll be sitting in the tree stand at 6 a.m.
Just a short background. I don't know what time it is. I also used to have my hunting license when I was like 8 or 9. I went through the course. I actually failed the course the first time. And then they let me through because I was like young and like a little girl. And they're like, oh honey, it's okay.
They're like, maybe she could throw a spear or something.
I ended up never going hunting. Like, I got the gear and everything, and like my mom, it just never really worked out with my mom and my uncle. So maybe one day Story can teach me how to hunt. That would be really fun.
Me too, Story.
Squirrels first. Squirrels first.
Start with squirrels.
Yeah. Start with squirrels.
I sat in my first deer stand a couple years ago with Brent, and I fucking froze my ass off, and I said, I'm going back to the tent. And he stayed there and killed the deer and woke me up and was like, all right, let's go take care of it. I was like, all right, let's go.
Look at him back there. He's got a whole bunch of tulip bulbs for you.
But yeah, I love flowers. That's my main thing at my house. I do grow some vegetables, but the deer don't eat the flowers as much as they do the vegetables, besides sunflowers. Those just don't exist at my property either until I get a deer fence up. So, yeah, I'm just a small scale. I do my own tiny little thing. Got a little compost pile, do the thing.
So you say you're like doing some tiny little thing, but like earlier you were talking about grow Appalachia and you're teaching people things. Like to me, that's big. It's like some people are like, "What's big? You plant 6,000 trees." And other people are like, "Did you like?" I'm more like, not just fine if like you taught one child this year how to grow things and be excited about plants.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing big things, teaching people stuff.
Sure. I mean, if we want to go into grow Appalachia things.
Yeah, sure. You want to?
I have finally marked my 75th high tunnel.
I want to get in one of those right now. That
means I got a lot of sun damage and I've been burnt a lot. And no, it's a beautiful thing.
Don't they have UV protection on the poly? There's like UV protection, so you go in there and you can get tan without getting burnt, right?
You get double tan. It's like a tanning bed in there. You just go straight through.
You get a real farmer's tan.
Yeah, so I don't know what would you like to hear about grow or
okay, so cultivator host moment where like the people who don't know as much as you all have to come in and be like, what the hell is a high tunnel?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like here. Let the elf tell you. It's a tunnel that you go into, and when you're in it, you're really high.
I'm not going in any of your tunnels.
Yeah, come on, let's go, Liz. Let's go in the tunnel.
Can be easily confused with a wind tunnel. Can be easily confused with a HI dash tunnel.
Yeah, snow tunnel.
A snow tunnel. No, I've never heard that.
But not confused with a low tunnel.
They are confused with low tunnels. They're
real.
confused with the term greenhouse.
Yeah, this is why we need educators.
Exactly. So the 5-story pitch, as my retired boss David Cook would say, a high tunnel is a season extension tool. It is a passive solar heated structure that is strictly there for you to extend the season on your crop. So we're not talking about growing greens in Alaska in December, okay?
Well, maybe if you have a pit.
A pit, yeah. If you're 5 feet in the ground, like Wallapini, I think. Wallapini is the name of those, I believe. When you dig into 3 to 5 feet deep, so you always have that natural heat coming from the ground.
Wallapini.
But I don't build Wallapinis, so do not call me for those.
Do people
I have
call
had
you for
more.
this?
Yes,
Yeah?
they do.
Okay, I imagine they will. But don't you heard her? You heard her. Do not call her about a wallapini. There's others you can call about wallapinis.
Yeah, season extension tool. It's the 6 mil plastic, the metal ribs. You got end walls.
Oh, you got ribs.
Ribs. They're also called bows. They're also called the skeleton. It's just standard chain link fencing materials.
Do you think originally that high tunnels were made like a long time ago when mastodons around with like mastodon rib cages? Do you think they would have made high tunnels?
Yeah, they just like threw a piece of plastic over. No, they just like threw like the skin of the body and like
Yeah, like the
poked holes in
gut.
it or
Like
something.
I think like mastodon like stomachs. If you stretch them, they'd be like kind of let some sunlight through.
I think they've got that exhibit at the Creation Museum, right?
They might. They just were doing that like 800 years ago or something there.
Makes sense.
They're creative.
Yeah, so I guess what's really cool about me building high tunnels is that we work with the USDA NRCS, which pays you to build a high tunnel on your property, which is the coolest
What?
part about how I'm able to give you my labor for pretty much free is if you apply for a grant through the NRCS, it's cost share. So they're going to pay you per square footage of the high tunnel. You do not have to even own more than 1/4 of an acre of land
Exactly how much?
to receive a FSA number, which is a Farm Service Agency number. That's your gateway into the USDA NRCS. So once you get your Farm Service number, you're going to go directly, probably in the same building, just opening up a different door into the USDA office. And that's where you're going to find your officer, your little agent that you're going to like suck up to. This is what I'm telling you to do. Bother him, be on their nerves, because if you're serious about wanting a high tunnel, you're going to have to really get into them for them to keep you up on that ranking scale because you're serious about it. So the high tunnels are great. I mean, Joanna and Michael have one down here on the property. They're expensive, but like I said, it's an incredible tool for you to get your greens or your tomatoes into the market at an earlier stage.
Like when you say they're expensive, like I mean that's sometimes relative for different situations. I mean, earlier you even saying that the NRCS will pay me to put one up.
Sure. So
like
the
at my place, and then I get to use it. Do they pay me to use it too?
Sure. So they're going to
How's that
monitor
work?
you for 5 years. So you have to grow in the ground for 5 years, and then after 5 years, you can like park your car in there. You can park your tractor in there. It don't matter.
Why
Put
would
your
you-
chickens in there.
Grow on shelves.
Okay.
Because it's a conservation. It's a piece of the conservation department of the USDA. So what they're wanting to do is conserve resources. So they pay you for water catchment systems on the high tunnel, which is the gutters that you run down the high tunnel. They pay you for micro drip irrigation, which is the drip tape that you run in the tunnel, which feeds from the water catchment tanks. They're really trying to do the whole conservation thing, which it's a little bit confusing when you're in there in the office, because you're like, oh, they said this was free. Well, it's not going to be free if you don't build it yourself. If you get all the bells and whistles, like the shade cloth, the double inflation blower,
Zipper
all,
doors,
all the fancy shit, like the equipment doors, all the big stuff, you're going to be paying out of pocket. I mean, if you get like just like the plano, you're going to be paying like 10 to 20%. And if you build it yourself, you're probably going to not pay anything. But building a high tunnel is like a totally different skill. We have all sorts of installation videos on YouTube, which
Grow Appalachia has videos on YouTube.
Yes, we do. We've got our own little page there. We also have videos on a lot of the work that Story does. We talk about pH and how to apply lime. There's really a lot of incredible educational videos that we have been slowly getting on
We'll
there.
put a link to one of them in the footnotes on the show.
Right on. Yeah, so contact me at Grow Appalachia.
Awesome.
I will sell you a high tunnel. Gladly. Pick it up.
Do you help?
Gateway to the high tunnel.
So do you assist people through the process of helping them get funding through the NRCS so that you get the NRCS to like pay you money to put these up with people?
So the NRCS doesn't
Is that
specifically
separate?
pay us to do
That's
the work.
totally separate.
Yeah, so they're going to be paying the producer a cost share per square footage of whatever the NRCS agent feels it is right for your farm.
How far do you travel putting up high tunnels? People listen to this all
I've
over the place.
recently delivered one to Asheville, North Carolina.
There you
We
go.
will come wherever you want us to. It's just going to be a matter
what
of
the
you
budget
paying
is.
for the
Yep.
delivery. We build them everywhere. I mean, we've got
That's
them.
how life is.
Yeah, we've got them all over Kentucky. I mean, we've been building in Ohio. We work in West Virginia, Indiana, Tennessee, anywhere surrounding Kentucky. I mean, we're gonna help you out. And if I can't come to you, I'll talk to you on the phone. Like I do a lot of consultation work over the phone, just like teaching people or just like talking them out of it. I feel like the majority of work that I do is talking people out of a thing that they have no idea what they're talking about and they got money for. And
Interesting.
and they have no idea what a high tunnel is. And so I have to talk to them about it, and they're like, wow, okay, thanks. I'm going to call my agents, just like cancel this, you know. Because it's like free money and it gets really exciting, and you know, it's like, yeah, let's do it. And then
Yeah, we're doing it because we get free money, but
Yeah.
then you have to like spend $3,000 still or something.
yeah.
How much is a modular movable?
How much is a modular movable? Like, what do you mean a modular movable? Like a movable high tunnel?
So the
The
movable,
sliding ones?
so this one doesn't slide. This one's movable with 4 people. It's tied into the ground with 4 mobile home anchors, or like corkscrew anchors. The movable is a 14 by 16 with 3-foot roll-up curtains and 2 scissor doors on each side, so you get ventilation through both all ways. Right now it's $17.92 plus labor and taxes or delivery.
I mean, come on, that's got scissor doors.
Yeah,
Come on.
they're awesome.
Like,
They open up all the way to the peak too, so you don't get that issue with the heat holding in the peak of the tunnel, which is a huge issue in high tunnels because normally the ventilation fans are just above the door, and then you've got like a 5-foot Maggie Wilder over here with Wolf Gap Gardens can tell us all about it. She's next. Woo-woo. And ventilation is intense in a high tunnel. If you do not want to be building a high tunnel over 100 feet long, if you do not have circulation fans or any sort of ventilation on the end walls.
I see winter markets opening up all throughout the country.
like you're talking about winter markets too. So I'm like curious, since Kayla's worked with all these different high tunnels, like what kind of crazy things she's seen people growing with a longer season in Kentucky.
Yeah, so what's really cool about the high tunnel is, yes, I say it's a passive solar heated structure. It's passively heated, but you can do really cool things with like putting low tunnels in the high tunnel, which is like an extra blanket. So I talk about like creating, I'm like, you know, it's like when you get cold at night and you put an extra blanket on, like that's one more step to keeping the frost off of those greens or the frost off of whatever. And so, yeah, the next morning you gotta get out there and pull that off, right? Like you don't pull that off, it's gonna toast, or you know, it won't be good. But regardless, yeah, it's a matter of just looking at really what you want to grow. I've seen people grow fruit crops in high tunnels, you know, like dwarf limes and dwarf lemons and all sorts of dwarf fruit trees, because like as we know in Kentucky, we just had a crazy frost the other day. Where's Michael? And like what you were telling me, like the plums and the peaches, bye. You know, because all those blooms were already on the tree. And so the high tunnel is like a little extra step. I would not recommend growing trees in high tunnels.
They probably
unless you have a
bloom
massive-
earlier in there, right? Like a dwarf
it's
fruit
more-
tree, they bloom earlier, but maybe their flowers more protected.
Yeah.
Or like a citrus tree, like those bloom in, you know, kind of December-ish anyways. So, you know, you've got your citrus harvest before it gets like really, really, really cold in you know, early spring. Yeah.
And I know, Michael, you guys were growing ginger last year, right? Do you do that in the high tunnels that you have?
Yeah, we grew some ginger and turmeric in the high tunnel. We did have some fertility issues because they like really, really like nutritious soil, so they didn't do as well. And we think they might have had a bit too much water even. So we're gonna build some raised beds this year in our high tunnel that Kayla built a couple years ago here, and we're gonna see how that works.
Awesome.
But Andy, I was just visiting your place, and you've got really nice tropical things in your built-on greenhouse in your house. That looks
Yeah, I
cool.
just put the passive solar right onto the house, and then at nighttime it doesn't get cold in there. It stays warm because of the wood stove. And then in the day, it heats the whole house up. Yeah, it's really great. And then they got banana trees and loquats and kumquats and probably some other quats of some sort. Yeah, I've been doing squats in there. Yeah, dwarf banana trees, they only get 8 feet tall, so it works in there. I mean, you can't just throw any banana tree into a situation like that. And the loquats are great. They, when they do grow tall and hit the ceiling, I just trim it off, and the loquat leaves are actually a superfood, so I just dry those and grind them up into a powder. And that's a really cool homestead simple thing. Learn about superfood greens and just have a big jar of them. Just keep drying green things throughout the year and just mix it all in there. It's what I call nutritive herbs, you know, the herbs that you could eat every day, like nettles, chickweed. I mean, even kale, you can dry. If you have too much kale in your garden during a certain month and you don't even want to eat it all, just dry it and then powder it and throw it into your big jar of green powder, and you can mix it with anything and get nutrients.
Yeah.
It's all about nutrients, you know?
And a different way to extend seasons. Yeah. Like the original way to extend seasons, right? Like people weren't just, oh, well, it's not growing right now, I guess I'm not going to eat it, but find ways to preserve and carry on.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming up here.
Yeah.
Story, I'd love to hear another story from you actually before you guys. I know it's the story funny. You've heard that joke your whole life, I'm sure. That this is a story show, so it's appropriate. Come on.
Well, I guess an interesting place maybe to leave it. I ended up in Irvine after I've traveled all around. I've lived in North Carolina and Vermont, but I actually got my start in Berea with Susanna Land, same person that Kayla worked for, and from there,
Yes, Salamander.
it's amazing the amount of people that I've met. Like I don't know if it's just like the bubble that I'm in or what, of people in ag that have either learned from her or worked for her. But probably, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago, I worked for her, and
Which we had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Story worked for her, and Susanna literally is obsessed with pictures. And she's got pictures all over in the outhouse, like while you're pooping, and everywhere. And Story wasn't in any of them, and then we run into each other at work.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible.
Well, it was many years before then. She uses like no technology. She like asked me to email like her like computer manager pictures of us from back in like, it was 2009. So anyway, from there, I ended up deciding I was going to get interested in ag, and I went to school and I got my degree, and then eventually came back to Berea. But there's all these like interwoven things for me, which is, firstly, that my family's from Eastern Kentucky. So like all my family's from Appalachia, but they're from farther east than like Estill or Berea, where we are now. And so when I was working for Susanna, I was also exploring like my roots in traditional agriculture and Appalachian farming and foodways. My grandfather went to a school that's very similar to Berea, actually, Pine Mountain Settlement School, which was back in the day. They created these settlement schools throughout Appalachia to provide free education to mountain youth that had no money or access to education, and they would go there and they would have, like, they would all have jobs. And so there was a dairy. There was a dairy. They would hunt. They would grow their food. They had like a weaving facility. So they did all of the traditional stuff that they needed to live. And I have letters from my granddad talking about how it was the best days of his life. And Berea, in a lot of ways, carries on that tradition. So it's just really funny thinking back that like 12 to 15 years ago, I was like exploring that history and that legacy within my family. And then ended up, I never would have thought I would just be back here in Berea. I thought I would either be farther eastern Kentucky or more central, kind of where I was raised. But it's turned out that I've been back here in Berea at Berea College, where a lot of those
Pine Mountain.
We serve Pine Mountain. We serve the school that my great uncle went to. Kayla brought me a book by one of I think she's a professor at Berea College called "Planting Thy Stars," about planting by the astrological signs, and Susanna and my great uncle who just passed are in it together, of like 20 people profiled, like the person that I started agriculture with, and the person that I also met my great uncle at the time I was working for Susanna, but this was like 15 years ago. I made these connections and then went away and lived in other states and did other things, and never thought I would come back to a nonprofit or any kind of ag career, to be honest. I got into construction. I was making too good of money. I was like, well, this is too good. And there's a lot less like emotional, mental stuff involved. I just go in and like lift the heavy rock from one place to the other. And I didn't do like smart technical stuff like Kayla does with the high tunnels. I was just like move one rock from the other place, and I ran heavy equipment.
That was like 15 years ago, you're saying?
No, this was like a couple years ago.
Okay.
after
so the
I
rocks
had
were not as heavy yet.
No. I started out as kind of like a hippy dippy working for Susanna and like thinking I was going to get into this like sustainable ag world. Went off and got my education in it, and then actually after I got educated, I was like, "There's no way that you can make a living in this. Like, this is an impossible thing. You got to have a job to then buy the land to then do the farming thing." And so I thought, I could spend 5-10 more years working for a farmer as like their intern, their apprentice or whatever, making $15 an hour. Or if I wanted to buy land, I could get a job where I made a lot more money, paid off my student loans. And so construction was really doing that for me. And also I didn't have to like mentally, emotionally invest in my job. I could just do the farming stuff I liked on the side and like make the money to put into that. Like I didn't want to force profit out of the thing that I loved that gave me like peace in the world. But I got really sick of doing that too, because they're kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. You're either like in with your whole head and your heart, and that's like a lot of the work that you're doing, or like you're in this very physical place where you don't have to think and do work. And I love both of them, but I'm getting older. And also Berea offers a lot of stability, and I just got to the point where like my heart needed to be in something that I was doing every day for potentially the rest of my life. And it just happened to be that Grow Appalachia, this organization that actually like most of my, like half of my coworkers are people that were here in Berea College, in school, that I was hanging out with when I worked on Susanna Leon's farm. Like 15 years later, we're like the same people that have stuck around are like, we're all working in the same organization together, and we've come in at different times, and just like, it's really weird, that connection and that full circle-ness that has come around. And so we're in Irvine now, and I always thought I'd be farther east, but this is really like a wonderful place, and this community is awesome, and we have access to work, and hell, we can get Instacart at our farm if we need to be honest. We're like really close to Richmond, and so it's
I don't even know what
that's right. We can get Instacart.
You get Instacart?
Yeah, like if we're out of pickles or vinegar for pickling, we can just put it in our phones and they bring us the vinegar. And we don't have to drive into town and see 1,000 people at the grocery store, which is like my least favorite experience ever. So yeah, we love this area, and it's
Instacart.
I'll deliver it. I used to.
Yeah, you should get Instacart. It makes life way better when you don't have to go to the grocery store. If you can, you probably can't. If you live, you live in Ohio, right?
Nope.
No? Oh, you are in Kentucky.
Nope.
He's a Hoosier.
Nope.
Do you live too rural to get like Uber Eats?
Yep.
Uber Eats. Yeah, we do too. We don't get Uber Eats either, but we do get Instacart. So
I can get mail delivered.
yeah, well, we're like in Eastern Kentucky.
I can probably play chess.
We're as close to like where my family's from, where my legacy is from, where my heritage is from. We're as close to that as we can get, while still also being like accessible as young people to like resources and to like jobs in case we were to lose a job, and like we need to make money to make payments on the farm that we just bought in September. So we're gonna be paying mortgage payments for a long time, and so I wanted the stability to do that. And it's been a really interesting process to like, I did not have a garden last year, and now it's looking like I may not have a garden this year. Because it's like I've had to take aside this time and kind of sacrifice doing these things that bring me peace and that I really want to do, to like set up permanent systems for them long term.
Yeah, so you need to get into these trays. Like when you plant them, it's really cool because like 4 years later they're there but bigger.
Yes,
like
that's
with the tomatoes, you get to do
saying.
the same thing every year. It's cool, right?
Yes.
I remember I used to grow tomatoes, my own plants, like under the little grow light,
Yes.
Then I realized I could start a tray of tomatoes that I could buy at a local greenhouse store for like $12, $15 and spend like 2 months trying to get it to that state. I might miss one watering, I get all crippled, right? Or I could get some from a greenhouse where that's what they do. They're making those. And when I figured that out, then I started having like 300 goji berry starts in the same place. And I'm like, wow, each one of those could turn into $10.
Yeah, I have like
Wow,
80 hybrid
that's like
chestnut
$3,000
trees right
tray
now.
under that light. That's more like efficient use of the light, honestly.
Yeah. I start all my stuff indoors, and this year kind of what I'm thinking is I thought I was going to do a whole bunch of crops and stuff, and now I'm like, to put in a really good fence that I don't have to rebuild forever and ever, I would almost rather take one more season off and like focus on perennials and flowers and things that like take less maintenance and are going to be long term than trying to put in these annual crops and just like build a really good deer fence, because we have awful deer. So like we need a really good 3D deer fence, and I kind of want to do it out of tinsel. But so I'm starting to
With
kind
a
of
missile? Did you say you want to do it with
Yes,
missiles?
yeah, with a missile.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
that sounds
missiles
great
would probably
too.
do it.
Yeah, but I
You
was
would
like,
definitely be on the cover of the next hunting magazine.
that would be a dope cover.
How I protected my garden.
Yes, but I've been just thinking a lot more about these systems and like the sacrifice that you have to make for the long-term vision, a lot like Michael and Joanna did for this place. Just like those temporary sacrifices or discomforts that you have to make for your long-term vision. And like there's a lot of sense of pride, and like I want to have a huge garden this year. Like I got a half acre tilled up that I was gonna plant, and now I'm like, I will just be stoked if I get this like permanently fenced in from deer for the next couple years, so I can grow really good crops then and just focus on like trees and flowers and herbs and things that I want to start as soon as possible. So I get to see them to maturity. So
Give it up for Story Sloan and Kayla Preston. Joel Appaloosa.
Kentucky women coming through.
Thank you all.
All right, so we have one more guest here tonight. We got the wildest mag of the Maggies.
I go back mag wild if you want.
We get mag wild, mega.
Maybe tone that down just like
The real verse. No, yeah.
No, don't say mega though. Just
Mag. I like the mags.
The mags?
I used to live in a mag town.
Max is good. Margaret, Margie, Peggy.
You got a song, maybe?
Do you have a song?
You have a song? We need a song. I feel like... about 20 seconds. Yeah, we need a song! Who thinks we need a song?
Yeah!
Hey! Do you take requests?
We want to hear it.
That one, Dooley!
That one, yeah!
Dooley!
Yeah, we like quests and we like requests. If it's dueling.
Was a good old boy, did blow the mill. Dooley had 2 daughters in a 40-gallon still. One watched the boiler, the other watched the spout. Mom corked the bottles when old Dooley passed them out. Dooley tuck back a holler, Dooley trying to make a dollar. Dooley puffed marijuana out. No, he's not puffing marijuana.
Marijuana someday!
He's sucking out of a bottle. Revenuers came for him, slipping through the woods. Dooley kept behind him and he never lost his goods. Dooley was a trader when into town he'd come. Seek kelp by the bushel and back guano by the jug. Dooley tuck back a holler, Dooley trying to make a dollar. Dooley puff marijuana, I'll pay back someday. I'll pay back someday.
It wasn't a bottle, it was a bong!
Yeah! Very well, Dale Dooley died. Cremated his body and the whole town got high. Now Dooley lies there in a valley by her home. Put a jug beside him and a barrel for a stone. No, we burned him.
Oh, burned him!
Yeah, so I remember very well the day old Dooley died. Cremated his body and the whole town got high. Now Dooley lies there in a valley by her home. I do the tending from above, he does it from below. Dooley tuck back a holler, Dooley trying to make a dollar. Dooley puff marijuana, I'll pay back someday. I'll pay back someday.
Dooley, what you doing in that high tunnel?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Very good.
Maggie Wilder
Yes.
of
It's me.
Wolf Ridge Farm.
Wolf Gap Farm.
Wolf Gap.
Wolf Gap Gardens, technically.
Wolf Gap. It's right there.
Yeah. And our tagline is where the wilder things grow, in case anybody's wondering.
Where the wilder things grow.
Do you get it? Do you get it? Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Trademark?
I mean, I will admit I come from probably where the wildest things grow. So that sounds kind of tame to me.
Fair. We're tame.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Sometimes. It depends. Well, I mean, it depends on what you call straight, but yeah, pretty straight.
Your mom's pretty wild.
She's pretty wild. Yeah.
That's not a joke.
So I don't always like these initial 2 minutes to be people exclusively telling us about their story or where they come from. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about us in conversation, because like we're just getting to know you, right?
Yeah. That sounds
And I do want to give you 2 minutes though, like to say and share like whatever you think, like maybe the deepest thought you've had out on the homestead one day that you just feel like it'd be really cool to have recorded and shared, and maybe it would blow everybody's minds.
I don't know that
The
I
wildest.
have that deep of
The
thoughts.
wildest. Okay, maybe it's really shallow thoughts.
Well, I think that like when I'm out on the farm, it really helps calm my thoughts, right? Like it's more of a peaceful, soothing place where I don't have to think that much.
How long have you been there?
So well, I don't know. I grew up in the holler, just like over the county where my parents, they have 130 acres now, but they like to call themselves back to the landers, and they bought land back there in '83 next to my uncle.
Wait, your last name's Wilder?
Yep.
Was that like did I read about that book? Was your parents like Laura Ingalls or something like that? I've read that book.
I mean, maybe in another life they
like
could've-
4 generations back or something. What's going on here?
Different Wilders, though.
Wilder than that.
Wilder than that.
I believe it. I feel
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, my mom was getting ready to retire from EKU. She was a professor and the director of the Division of Natural Areas. And at that time, my grandmother lived in like a home in Richmond and had Alzheimer's, and she asked if I wanted to come back and start a farm on their land, and then just have my grandmother come out and like weed rows, have her something to do, like give her something to do.
Your grandma like that?
She would love that, but she passed away before that happened. But we moved back. My partner and I moved back anyway, and we started a small market garden, my mom and I. My mom always had a garden, but she used to say that she liked to like use benevolent neglect on it, so she didn't really like do much with it. So I came back with a bit of like market garden experience for a couple years in Virginia and around, and so we started the garden. We like to say that I'm the brains and she's the brawn. She does all the hard lifting. I just tell her what to do. Yeah. So
She's trained on those heavier rocks.
I know. We just have a half acre, 1 high tunnel, small.
I like how you're the brain. You said, I like to do this because I don't have to think very much, and you are the brains of the operation. This sounds like something
I don't have to
should get
think
into.
much.
I should get into this.
I just have to think at the beginning of the day, but when you're out in the field, it's
Make a
different.
little chart for yourself.
Digging in the
beginning.
dirt, yeah.
And then reacting to what the day does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky that I already have that land available to me. They have the land. There's a barn on the land, and Mom also has the desire to do it, whereas like she doesn't need the profit from it, but I do. So it's a nice intergenerational thing, right? That's what farms used to be, very intergenerational. So we're kind of trying to bring that back in a way. Yeah.
Nice.
Are there any next generational wilder things growing there?
No next generational, but I'm sure we could find somebody when we get old and gray.
How did you guys
farm?
How did you pick out the name Wolf Gap?
Oh, that is the road. We are
That's
on.
the road. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very
That's nice.
place-based.
Yeah.
Gaps and licks. Gaps and licks.
Yeah, wolves will do that.
It's Stillhouse Holler, but it's Wolf Gap Road, so it gets a little confusing.
And do you get woofers too?
We have not.
You got a
ever
gap in
gotten
that
woofers.
realm.
We actually.
I have too. I have not had very good. Like I've not been a woofing host very. Like I've encouraged it years ago, but it was just
personally
chaos.
woofed on other people's. I was a woofer,
Okay.
but we've never hosted woofers. We work with Grow Appalachia. I don't know if they're still in here, but we host some of their interns for their Beginning Farmers Education Series. So we get interns in the summer.
And you do Do you do the markets then?
We do. We
local Berea,
we don't
Berean markets.
We do not do Berea's market.
What do you got?
We go to Richmond. It's called the Madison County Farmers Market.
Okay.
And we also have a small CSA, about like 25, 26 people. And we sell to our friend named Tim, who brokers veggies to Lexington restaurants.
Tim Ansley. Shout out to Tim Ansley. Tim was supposed to be here, but unfortunately couldn't make it because he's got a busy farm to run. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tim. We'll see you. We'll see you around here. We'll go to your farmer's home.
See you next time.
I really like that he's helping connect like local food to restaurants because as you guys may have heard earlier, like maybe I'm hesitating on going to hardware stores and definitely like leaning into this thing with Liz about not going to grocery stores, but like restaurants that have local food curated into them, that's really fun.
Yeah, so during COVID times,
Michael back on the mic.
Yeah, he knows all about this local veggies and restaurants.
Yeah, Tim became a food broker. Like, he totally shifted everything during COVID times, and all of a sudden he's sending out a weekly email with a whole list of like 30 different types of like organic food that people are selling to him and he's distributing essentially. So that was really awesome to just like email him back and get a bunch of greens and carrots and beets and all this stuff, eggs and Tim. Just another note on Tim. Tim is who I shadowed to start the mushroom farm here. So Tim's like a master forager.
Man, for sure.
Yeah, if you want to learn anything about foraging mushrooms, he's been foraging for 30 plus years, and he's the guy.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
He must be picking the right ones.
Still alive.
Yeah.
Resume.
There's mushroom to grow in that too. Like I know Michael, you guys have been growing mushrooms. I mean, you're a fun guy.
Somebody get
too much stuff. This is stupid.
Oh my god.
Oh, what do you want me to do?
Some mushrooms. This man is in the music.
It's getting wilder and wilder.
I do just want to appreciate back here in the restaurant area the slight restaurant ambiance sounds while we were talking about restaurants. It's perfect.
It is perfect.
Just like everything this is so cool. Like the food carts have been going around. I know like there's going to be some feasting happening shortly after this. I know people are getting excited.
Getting hungry. We like food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm so happy you can be here to share. Do you want to? I want to do your 2 minutes. Like really honor you at 2 minutes. Whatever you want to do. I'm gonna calm Austin down for it. All right.
Okay.
All right, Austin, ready to calm?
I don't have much more to say.
All right, everybody, can we have uninterrupted attention here for this 2 minutes? We got.
I think I already got my 2 minutes.
Yeah, she got her 2 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I interrupted the whole time.
No,
You
that's
like I gotta honor that. I've made a vow of talking this year, and like when I honor a moment where I'm not talking, I am gonna give it.
You want my 2 minutes? You can have my 2 minutes.
I can talk for you 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right,
let's hear
guys.
the elf talk.
So I'm Swaggy Wildest. And I'm just down here.
I could be swaggy.
I got my Wolfie grape farm near Bree Real. And I'm just having a farming good time down here. And for my 2 minutes here, I want to add in a little more of a poem. So I hope this gets marked as one of the guests. You're going to ask me questions, right?
Oh.
Somebody, please.
If you wake the farm up.
Oh, yeah. So just imagine, you're like hanging out in the woods one day and all of a sudden the time portal just like kicks over you. We're in a time portal, okay? And like all of a sudden there's giant chestnut trees just like growing over top of you. Yes. And you reach your hand out and you feel like some kind of moss on there that you've never noticed before. Because that moss isn't that common anymore because the chestnuts aren't that common anymore. So it's really intriguing. And then also you see a bluebird fly by and you're like, holy, look at that color. Because all of a sudden you realize you haven't looked at anything plastic in like forever. Wait, you've never even seen anything plastic. All of a sudden you realize, so like these super colors that we're used to seeing, like hunters like back then, they would accidentally hit each other with spears because they didn't have the bright orange hats, and like they wouldn't have been on covers of magazines back then, because they're just like hunting chestnuts under there and throwing spears around and doing it so intelligently that we can't even fathom how they did that, how generations made these forests that would just drop so much food that the children, all they had to do was make sure they learned from their elders about how and what was what, what sticks to chew on, to make your teeth stay in your skull longer, which sticks would crack faster, which ones would burn hotter.
Okay, wake the farm up. Okay.
Oh, but I didn't even talk about how, white oak bark, when you burn it, you can burn it, it'll burn smoke-free.
Oh.
So you can, dig a little hole and then, sit over it with a cloak in the winter time and just chill outside and observe it and be warm. That's cool, right? That's part of the 2 minutes.
Yep, okay.
All right.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Wake the farm up.
Nice word, nice
Thank you all for coming to the Wake the Farm Up show recording here.
Yeah.
And we love you all and hope that we can encourage and support and grow with you all in some really fun way. And
yeah, we heard a lot of people talking about following their passions, following some intergenerational knowledge and wisdom, following good teachers and leaders, and being in community. So follow those passions, be together, maintain growth.
Yeah, Hope Stay Preppers, what we're doing, we're stepping outside of society and making it better, but we're also stepping into it and making it better. We're looking at nature, not through a petri dish, but inside of our own bodies. So here we go. Let's wake the farm up.
One more song! Austin Rowlander!
Get it!
Life took me to a roadside, backpack in some jeans, until a long red Cadillac pulled up next to me. I'm headed north, my friend, if destination's a concern. I told him I'd go anywhere, 'cause I got some life to burn. Reached for the rear view mirror and told me I'd found the place, as a mighty green asparagus emerged from his face. Blink carefully, he said, for you wouldn't want to miss every possibility that could possibly exist. You've entered the void, my friend. You've entered the void. There's lots of crazy shit here, but don't get paranoid. It's every imagination, it's imaginary tale. So get your imaginary vessel and let's sail. Cruising down a river of bourbon and celery logs. A fly got caught in the wiper blade, but we all know what that means. We're making waves, my friends, he said from the driver's seat. How much does the ocean rise when a sea otter takes a pee? The Milky Way hippos make their waves to the shore, hoping to find Miss Winfrey so they can feel their pain no more. Abalone mermaid hammocks drift through the breeze, and just above them, jellyfish make love to bees. Hot dog! Well, I look my best when I'm facing west, and west is where I see a lonely Amish boy buying rings in a box of 3. He gives them to 3 ladies with spines in their backs, 'cause aren't they all the same once you get them in the sack? They cried through the window and then realized what he'd done, poking around their innocence with his alligator fun. Babe came 9 months later, born pregnant and poor, but isn't life just a Christmas sale? Buy one and get one more. We're entering the void, my friends. We're entering the void. Where calendars are fire fuel and watches are destroyed. It's every imagination's imaginary tale. So get your imaginary vessel. Let's set sail. Back at the roadside, backpack in some jeans, a man leaned over and whispered, "Tell no one what you've seen." Story of that day could have stayed with me forever, lying in the footsteps of all those stories left untold. But stories like to live, and once alive they live forever, and every story's fate lies in whom that story's told. So now the story of the void is born alive and well,
So let us open up our ears to our imagination's tale. We're all in the void, my friends. We're all in the void. There's not this crazy place where the laws of life have failed. It's right here among us. We walk through it every day. So get your imagination. Let's go out and play.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you for letting me play music.
Yeah, and thank you all for joining us for the show. Yep, keep up with us. Follow our Instagrams. Check out our website, wakethefarmup.com. Check out what our hosts are up to. You can check out their links. You can check out direct links to the show. You can check out where we're going to be doing things. We got live shows. They're popping up here and there in the Midwest. You're going to want to keep up with us. More incredible one-on-one shows are going to be popping on here anytime. And bizarre episodes of poetics and sound vibrations. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And have a wonderful time. Check out Grow Appalachia. Check out Wood Street Commons. Check out Cobb on Wood. Check out Brushy Fork Leadership. Check out High Tunnels. Look into that. That's something, huh? Maybe that's something that could work for you. Your homestead. Much love. Till next time, wake the farm up.
Do you have a balcony you'd like to sit on, but you don't have any way of getting up to it? Do you have things in your house that should be hanging from the walls, but they aren't? Are your doorknobs boring? Or maybe you're one of those people who would like to store more of your furniture on the ceiling. If you are, don't hesitate to contact Arrow Architectural Ironwork. Arrow Architectural Ironwork specializes in all manner of useful contraptions, including spiral staircases, extravagant hooks, hand-forged door latches, and in-home pulleys and rigging. If you have a good idea, a bad idea, or any kind of idea in between, please contact Arrow Architectural Ironworks at 503-559-0948. Arrow Architectural Ironworks, where the wouldn't it be cool ifs turn into the isn't that awesomes?
I've been following Sylvatica as far as doing something similar to things that I like doing. And then I recently got to listening to this podcast. And then I saw. And then I was like, they're coming here. I was like, well, I told her, she didn't even know. I hadn't mentioned anything about the podcast to her yet. But I was like, it's a pretty cool podcast. And I went to listen to an episode. And they're like, well, we got to go. I'm like, okay. Be safe. So I go.